people like discussions on games more so. So yeah, there's so much to cover. I mean, gaming has endless talking points. Let me move my mic. Why is that all out of sorts? There we go.
All right. I'm about to hear myself echo in a second, so I'll have to catch that. But we are live. Oh, that's coming. It come through my speakers. Change that to that. Okay. Sorry about that, peeps. But yeah, we are live. Welcome to Migtown Arcade. Of course, all the fun gaming chats that you can ever have all in one cool place, separate from our main channel, because, well, we need somewhere to fall back to when we finally get Susaned, right?
Right.
So, before we kick things off, news to share with everyone. We had a copyright claim from Netflix because we trashed their Resident Evil trailer.
Oh wait, is that what that was about?
Yeah.
Whoa,
Yeah,
that begs the question. So if there was praise for Resident Evil trailer, would they have copyright struck it?
I mean, only Netflix knows for sure, but you know what the answer is.
You know what? A part of me wants to literally just go back and do another one and be like, "This is so amazing, dude! I'm such a big fan. I can't wait to see this."
make a new channel, make a new account.
Yeah, and just like literally, and just see like the exact same footage and just see.
I wonder if it was automated, because it did. That the claim came in very quickly after we ended the live video, but it wasn't instant. Like it came in at like 2 a.m. that night. So it was not instant, but it was quick enough to make me think that it was automated.
I believe it was, because
and then,
I
of
don't
course,
think anyone reported it or anything like that.
We filed our dispute of the copyright claim. It helps having a law student on staff. And today we got a notice from YouTube that they have released the claim. So the video is ours, and they're not making money on our video.
That's still just some weird shit to me.
Yeah. We never did get a copyright strike, which is different. That's when you like blatantly rip something off.
Mm-hmm.
So we never had that. But still, if you're going to show other people's trailers, or we did, you know what? We didn't get a strike for the E3 trailers. We showed a bunch of trailers on that one. And no one struck them.
Weird.
So maybe it wasn't automated, or maybe it was. I don't know.
But here's the thing: there's nothing is unilateral, right? Like the problem I have with a lot of the rules and things that are going on is that like it's what I've heard across the YouTube space, right? Is that people are like, "Yo, dude, we don't ever know what's okay or not okay because they keep changing rules by the second," right?
Yeah.
I've seen people post shit and nothing happens, right? And then someone else like, "Oh, I got a strike on a video," and everyone's like, "Well, why though? Like you didn't do anything." And then someone else posts the same thing, nothing. Like there, it just depends, man. I don't know. It's weird.
But anyways, we got a topic at hand. God, we got a topic at hand to cover today.
Yeah, this would be a fun one because the Resident Evil one, obviously. Oh God, that trailer was terrible. But we got a palate cleanser for you guys tonight because today's topic is going to be the biggest pleasant surprise. Don't worry, we're going to do a negative one where, because let's face it, Tim, there's been plenty of games that have come out. Remember that? You're excited, right? You can't wait to rip the packaging off. And maybe your name is PewDiePie and you witnessed The Last of Us Part 2, right? Because you didn't look at any of the leaks. And you're like, wait. And he literally, dude, I remember seeing clips of his face of playing that game. He looked depressed, right? He's just like, I just don't want to fucking play this game anymore. So we're going to do that next time. But this time, this is about the pleasant surprise. And I'll actually go first because mine is actually really simple. I'm a huge Metroid fan. I grew up playing Metroid. I think the only one I may have missed Return of Samus because I didn't personally have a Game Boy. My friend did. But obviously Super Metroid being one of the best games ever made. And then, if you guys can recall, there was no Metroid on N64, and so the only time we saw Samus was in Smash Bros. And leading up to Metroid Prime, for those of you who don't remember, the game came out in 2002, I believe, and there was a lot of nervousness, right? A lot of anxiety surrounding it because it had been farmed out to a studio called Retro Studios, right? And a lot of people didn't really know much about these people, right? I mean, they were in Texas, I believe, and people just kind of like, I don't know who is Retro, what are they about? How do we know they're gonna, not ruin the game? And then that news came, right? Metroid for the first time was going to be in first person perspective, right? And anybody who knows Metroid, when you're exploring as Samus and you're running around, it's third person, right? Third person action adventure, sci-fi, it's so many different genres, right? You're always exploring. And the thought of a Metroid game in first person, people just went, how's that going to work? How, what about when you go into Morph Ball, blah, blah, blah. And of course, that's when it went to third person. But like the game worked astonishing. It looked gorgeous. It played beautifully. The sound was great. I mean, if I recall, I think Metroid Prime, it might have won a lot of Game of the Year awards for that year. It was an amazing game. I was so thoroughly surprised that, remember, like I said, as a guy who's not a fan of first person at all, I only gave it a chance because it's, Samus was my girl, Metroid was my game. So I said, okay, I'm going to give it the benefit of the doubt. And the pre-release thing was basically like, hey, it's in good hands. Even if you're not a fan of first person, like give this game a shot because it's legit. This is back when you could believe game critics. I remember getting that game and just being blown away. Like, holy shit, this game is legit. And the GameCube looked, I mean, the graphics look gorgeous. It was such a like I said, we hadn't seen Metroid since Super Metroid. So you went, almost a decade in that huge jump because you literally skipped a generation. It just worked. Everything about that game worked. And I was just pleasantly surprised, and I loved it. And shout out to Retro Studios for making a great game and pleasantly surprising all of us. So that was mine. I don't know if you have one, Tim.
Yeah, I was kind of thinking about this. Of course, the game that I had. Well, okay, so direct sequel, like 1 to 2, or can it be 1 to 3?
Oh, yeah, it can be one. Yeah, it can just be
Okay,
any sequel. Yeah,
I mean. Drex, I've never waited for a game quite like I did Snake Eater for it to release. So yeah, of course, hundreds of hours playing Metal Gear Solid 1. Metal Gear Solid 2 comes out, and it's meh. There was problems with it when it came out. It felt like a lot of failed, wasted potential. But then they announced Snake Eater. And you had good bosses, good gameplay, good storytelling. And I thought they were going to do something stupid with the whole because Drex, you were going to play as Big Boss. You spent now 4 video games talking about Big Boss nonstop, right?
Mm-hmm.
The great legendary soldier, greatest soldier in history. Mm-hmm. And now you get to play as him. And they didn't fuck it up. The game was as good as the hype was was building it up to be. So,
well, actually, hold on now, Tim. Do you remember Snake Eater did have quite a bit of controversy surrounding it? Because as you recall, after Sons of Liberty and the cliffhanger that the Patriots were already dead, most people figured if there was going to be a sequel, it would be a direct sequel to Sons of Liberty, right?
Right.
And do you remember that was a shock that they said, oh, no. Now we're going backwards to the 1960s. Remember that?
Yeah, I remember
that. And that was a huge deal.
I do remember the announcement. That wasn't a surprise to, like when the game released, that the fact that it was 1964 was not a surprise. But yes, when they did the announcement for the game trailer, it's set in 1964, Soviet Russia, or Soviet Union. Fucking Yakov Smirnov getting in my head.
Soviet Russia, car drives you.
Fucking Yakov getting in my head. Soviet 1964 and Soviet Union. First of all, what a great setting for a game.
Great setting.
Especially a spy game, right?
Yep.
Only
the camera was the problem. I can be honest with you. The game started a little slow. The camera I thought was obviously outdated by that point. But that's the only gripes I have about that entire game.
And that's nitpicking because that's the same camera they had in MGS1. So you were used to it. Well, and then they fixed it, of course, with the re-release of Subsistence.
Yep.
Where you had the full 3D camera, which honestly,
what surprised you most about the game, though? Like, so you got it in your hands, right? Like, what was your biggest surprise going from 1 to 2, 2 to 3? Like, what was your biggest, like, holy shit, man, this is
The
this is
stealth
different.
action. 100%. It was the idea, because that was when they introduced the camo index,
Yep.
crawling through the grass to blend in. None of that was in 1 or 2. Like, you
Nope.
had a cardboard box in 1, and in 2
Well,
you
and plus,
just
remember, they took away the radar. That was the first game that the radar was gone.
yes. Although you had
Yep.
the active sonar that replaced
Yeah,
it.
yeah, yeah, yeah. But then they could hear that
Yeah,
when you hit
they
the
would
little.
hear it.
Yep.
So, it the introduction of because Metal Gear Solid invented the stealth genre, or perfected it. I guess they didn't invent it; they perfected it.
Mhm.
Metal Gear Solid 2 was an expansion on that, adding more gameplay and controls. Right, Metal Gear Solid 3 was a complete reimagining of the stealth action genre, where because you actually could die in that game, right? Even if you were on the easy or the medium difficulty setting, if you were discovered by an enemy, you'd get killed pretty easily, because they
Yeah,
come
yeah.
at
The
you with
enemies.
like hind helicopters,
Yep.
right? You get your ass kicked by those things.
Yep.
Enemies would throw grenades. They'd use rocket launchers. Um, so the emphasis on the game was actually hiding and being sneaky. You couldn't just like hold down the fire button and just run through infinite ammo. So I would say that was the biggest pleasant surprise of that game, was how it completely reinvented the stealth gameplay.
It's funny you say that, because me personally, I thought 4 really reinvented it, because like they took what it did in 3, and he had the octo camo, right? And it would
Yeah,
just blend as you stood up against something. And Snake became much more mobile, right? He had the crouch run. So from a gameplay standpoint, I thought the mechanics in that were just amazing, of course. But like, yeah, it was Metal Gear Solid 3, man. And also the story, right? Because the biggest surprise that game was for me was obviously playing as Big Boss, and the boss, the character, was amazing. Eva was great. The cast was great. The
yeah,
voice
great
actors great.
acting.
Yeah,
Well,
great
Drex,
voice actors.
I introduced you to that Spyro franchise, the Legend of Spyro, right?
Mhm.
That almost killed the whole franchise off. The big takeaway, I actually went back and watched through a movie of those games. Like when streamers will put up the no commentary, just
Mhm.
playing the game. Um, I cannot believe how bad the voice acting is in that game. So Elijah Wood plays Spyro, but then it's a bunch of nobodies on every other character.
Yep. And it
And
shows.
yeah, it really showed, especially Spyro's sidekick, the Dragonfly Sparks. He's got a ton of dialogue. His voice actor, first of all, changes in all 3 games in the trilogy.
Oh no, I can't have that. Can't have that.
He's a black guy in the second one, which
Yeah,
just
you gotta have
throws you
consistency.
off,
Yeah, yeah,
right?
you gotta have consistency when it comes to voice acting. Absolutely.
But the talent of the voice actor is lacking too. Just no emotion in the lines. Like at one point, the dragonfly gets startled, and he's supposed to run away and exclaim, like ah, because he's being chased by a gargantuan guardian. And literally, the voice actor delivers the line like this.
You serious?
Yep. Yep. Go listen to it. It's in the first Legend of Spyro game.
That's
He
fucking terrible.
gets in the ice demon or the ice guardian. The dragonfly gets startled by it, and he delivers a line of him running away, going,
That's almost as bad as the Troll 2. They ate him, and now they're gonna eat me. Oh my god! It's like, bro, like how was this even put? Like that's your final cut, right? Like you put
Yeah.
that in the film, you said yes, this is the take. It's like you put this in the movie. This is terrible. But yeah, we'll get the people on. Let's get the peeps on and tell us
Yep.
about your favorite gaming surprise and your favorite franchise. So let us know. We got whoever is coming in first. Who do we got?
Well, Man of One Title's up first. Guys, if you want to call in, I've put the link in. I forgot to pin it. Yeah, here, let me pin that for you. Pin message. There you go. I've pinned the message. You guys can click on the link, call in, tell us your pleasant sequel game stories. Man of One Title's up. Oh, it's your big moment.
Oh shit.
I'll put you in the back room. Let me know when you're ready.
Okay, how about now?
Oh
Yes.
no, we got you.
Okay, there. Sorry about that. Every time I try to join in on something, I've got technical issues. Hey, what's up, guys?
What is up?
Yeah, I was when you guys brought up the subject about sequels that I was really hyped for and pleasantly surprised with. Um, I guess I kind of have if I have like three picks because I have
Go ahead.
one that I was the most hyped I had ever been for any game, and then I have another one that uh, I was really hyped for, but after I started playing it, there wasn't much of a surprise. And then another one where I was pretty, not too much, but a little bit hyped for, and I was immensely surprised by it. So the first one, I guess, would be Final Fantasy X, the PS2.
Mm-hmm.
That one I was really hyped for, and I was very pleased with it, but it didn't really surprise me too much because I think it was about a year or two prior. That is when I had just gotten into the Final Fantasy series, and this was 2001, I think, around there. It was when the PS2 came out.
Yeah, it was early PS2 game. Yeah, I want to say was it 2002? I think it came out. Does that sound about right?
Probably.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's one or two.
One or two. Yeah.
And it was because I had played 9 in 2000, loved the hell out of it, and I played 7 after. And I spent hours and hours into those games, and then I find out that there's going to be a 10th one coming PS2 for the new system with the state-of-the-art latest graphics and with voice acting and everything. So I was super hyped for it, and by the time the game came out and I got a chance to play it, I dumped even more hours playing that game and trying to complete everything to it, and I was really pleased with it. But there wasn't anything in that game that just blew my mind. Like, whoa, I didn't expect that. Aside from what happened to the story, which was par for the course for those games. The second one, which would be the one that I was really hyped for, but by the time I played it, I was like, okay, it didn't really. There was nothing that new to me. It was probably Smash Brothers Brawl for the Wii, because they were announcing characters on the website as the weeks and months and days went on, and I remember just being glued to that website, checking it daily. Like, did they release a new character? Is there another one coming up? I remember when they announced the delay for it, they had to push back the release date, and everybody was burnt about it. Everyone was upset. And on that same day, they announced that Sonic was going to be on it.
Oh, nice.
So it was almost like oh, we delayed the game. Everybody's going to be pissed. Don't worry. I know how these guys are. We have to drop Sonic. So,
yeah, you got to give good news. Like when you give that gut punch, right? It's like this. Hey man, we got you. Hold on, real quick. Bow. You're like, oh, you're hurting, and they're like this. But wait, there's more. And then they're like, but we gave you Sonic. Oh shit. Okay, well, something about my rib feels good, right?
Yeah, it's like by the time you saw it, it's like I'm still kind of pissed, but okay, this will be worth the wait.
Yep.
But by the time I did get the game and played through it, there was that story mode that was in there, the Subspace Emissary, which was cool. But by the time it was over, I was like, well, that was a bit short lived. It was over kind of quickly, but I still had fun with it, and I do still like that game, but I would say it's probably one of the weaker Smash Brothers games out there because there was a bunch of shit that they did in there that was weird, like the tripping mechanism.
The tripping was stupid.
Yeah,
I saw it because I never played Brawl. I remember seeing that and I was like, oh, that's lame.
Yeah, it was a pretty bad call, and but I still enjoyed the game. And the last one, the one that surprised me the most, you kind of already said it, Metroid Prime. That's one of them, but I think the other one I'd probably have to go with was Kingdom Hearts 2. Because I played the first one on PS2, and it felt almost like a shit post. It was like, hold on, I'm a Final Fantasy character looking guy beating up a bunch of Disney villains, and I can summon the genie to kill Jafar.
Right.
Oh, that sounds ridiculous, but I kind of want to see what that's about. And I played the first one, and it was better than I thought it would be. I was like, well, this is like Final Fantasy plus a Zelda kind of like hack and slash game style, or maybe not Zelda, but that type of non-turn based combat
Mm-hmm.
with Disney thrown in there and a bunch of Square Enix things. And I'm like, this is actually a pretty good crossover for a game. And then the second one came out, and they just went like balls to the wall crazy with developing the story, the characters, adding a whole bunch of Disney worlds that are in there. Like you could be with in the Pirates of the Caribbean world and then go to Tron. And on top of that, it was a really, really long game, and it was worth the money. And that was the one that I was the most pleasantly surprised with, because I wasn't too sure about how much better or worse it was going to be than the first one. But after I played that game, I was like, okay, this is one of the best games I've ever played on the PS2. And then after that, Kingdom Hearts just went weird. Like it got all convoluted and nutty with a bunch of sequels that didn't make any sense. So those would probably be my three picks, I think, but with the exception of Metroid Prime, because it was exactly like you said. It was the first Metroid game there had ever been since the Super Nintendo.
Yep.
And it was a first-person shooter, which was a kind of a turnoff for people who like Super Metroid. But then when you got to play it, you realized, no, this is a true Metroid game.
Yeah. And it's funny because at that point, you remember that was the early 2000s. Console gaming plus first-person perspective equaled trash in most cases, right? In terms of your control. Yet in Metroid, they realized, okay, we're not going to make this a shooter. We're going to make this a first-person adventure, and combat's going to take a back seat, right? It was like exploration first, combat second. So that way you didn't have that bias of like, it's not the same as Quake. You see what I'm saying? Because like you remember that time, right? Unreal, you had Quake, you had Counter-Strike and stuff. So like, that was a big deal. But yeah, the surprise I think of any game, and I don't know if you've noticed this, but when it comes to sequels, the only let's say form of media that has good quality sequels where they seem to be better and build upon is the video game medium. Because movies sequels almost always sucks, right? In books, you're kind of like, you see what I'm saying? But yeah. I mean, in video games, you notice in a lot of games, no matter how good, whatever, like I said, Street Fighter 1 sucked. Street Fighter 2 was great. Like, and then they added on Street Fighter 2 with, Champion Edition Turbo. But it's like, if you notice, very few people will tell you Street Fighter 2 is, legitimately better than, like, I think people say 4 or 5 is the best one. I think it's 4, I believe. So, but you see what I'm saying? Like, at least you can say a later iteration was better. In movies, that's never the case, right? Like, if you get to your 5th Terminator movie, no one believes the 5th Terminator is better than the 1st and 2nd. You see what I'm saying? The longer Halloween goes on, or whatever movie that you like, no, they law of diminishing returns, right? But in video games, a franchise could be around 30 years, and like that new one could be the best one. That never happens in any other form of media.
Yeah, and I think that a lot of that has to do with, especially with movies, how the sequels are rarely as good as the first one. I think a lot of that has to do with how movies as a business, they sort of, in order for them to really, really milk a franchise, they have to make something that is sequelable. Mm-hmm. And sometimes they'll even mess up what was originally intended for the first movie to make that happen. For example, have you ever seen Paranormal Activity?
Yep.
So the ending of the theatrical release was completely different than how it was supposed to be done. They had I think they had it on the DVD, and I'm pretty sure it's on YouTube, the original ending for that movie, and it was not like jump scary or anything like that at all. It was like a conclusion to what happened. But they had to go and change it all up because, well, if we're going to ever make a sequel to this, then we can't have it end like this. And so they kind of butcher things just for the sake of making sequels and movies, I think.
That's unfortunate. You know where I think that comes from, though? I think they could, Paranormal Activity and a lot of movie franchise in general could learn from Final Fantasy. You could make Paranormal Activity. Part 1 is this family going through this, right? And then part 2 has nothing to do with that first family, right? And like, so each one could be its own thing. The problem with movies, they like to link them, right? They like to, that's what ruined the Star Wars sequels. That's how you start getting continuity errors, where you just go like this. You know what, man? I'll tell you what we're gonna do. We're gonna make the best movie of this, and then the sequel is gonna be this. You can have a common thread, like a thematic point, and then like it can stay good. But when you keep on trying to say we gotta have the same characters, I think that's what caused them to go. But any last words?
No, not really. Those are the only games that I was wanting to talk about. But I think, well, okay, one more thing on the subject of Metroid. Metroid Dread was probably the most recent game that came out that I was hyped for and was pleasantly surprised with.
Yeah, I'm actually playing now. I just entered the Ferinia zone or something like that. I just got the elevator.
Okay.
Yeah, because I got the grapple beam and all that stuff. So I'm finally like sitting down and playing it.
Okay.
So yeah, so I'm progressing further and further through the game. But it's great.
All I'm gonna say is wait till you get to the final boss. It's tough as shit, but by the time you finish it, you're gonna be like, you're gonna be amazed, I think.
Yeah,
so
there's nothing like a great final boss, man. Nothing like it.
Oh, it does a good job with it. But yeah, that's all I wanted to share. Shout out to everybody in the Discord. Thank you guys for hosting and having me. And I'll catch you guys later.
We appreciate it. All right. Hey, have a good one, man. One title.
You too.
All right, Tim. Who we got up next?
We actually don't have anyone else up next. Guys, if you want to jump in and talk about your favorite sequel, use the link that I've pinned up at the top of the chat there. Click on it, jump on in. I do have another entry while we wait for some more people to filter in. So this is an interesting one. Drex, have you ever had a game, a beloved game franchise, have a major departure of the talent, of the creative talent? And so either the game moved studios or the team had a huge turnover or it got bought out and absorbed into another studio. And then they go and release the next game and you're terrified. You're like, oh no, what are they going to do to my game, my beloved game franchise? Halo 4. Halo 4 was a very pleasant surprise. It was a good game. I know some people won't agree with me, but I think it was a very good game. It looked beautiful. I thought they took it in a bold new direction. They tried something new with the story between Master Chief and Cortana. And of course, the history there, right? So, Bungie was spun off and did Destiny. So 343 Studios, a part of Microsoft, took over the Halo franchise. Of course, Bungie was the developer of Halo. They'll forever be known as the Halo developer.
Yep.
And they made an amazing video game franchise with Halo 1, 2, and 3. And ODST and all the other... okay. So, of course, they... all that drama and all that stuff happens with Bungie and 343 Studios, and then they go and release Halo 4. And everyone is terrified. You know, they buy it, they pick up the controller, and you're scared. Okay, what have they done to this game? But it was a pleasant surprise. It was a good game, solid mechanics, good gameplay, good voice acting. They were able to bring back most of the talent who played the characters in previous installments. So that was a pretty good factor.
I remember when it came out, I think
someone's trolling us.
Uh-oh. Well,
Last of Us Part 2.
Oh, Last of Us Part 2 is a masterpiece.
Halo 4 was too much like COD. I could see that. Of course, we don't acknowledge Guardians. Didn't happen. And I'm not a fan of Infinite Warfare, but it didn't ruin the franchise for me.
Oh, someone said Devil May Cry got better in the sequels. Yeah, I'm telling you, man, I started thinking about this a long time ago, where I started thinking about, like, you know, throughout my life, sequels in general, right? Because that was something that's always been a stigma. It's been an old adage, right? About how like the sequel's never as good as the original. Blah, blah. I was like, yeah, in movies, in movies that's been true for most of the time that films have been on screen since after the silent era. But like in video games, man, I think that one of the things that I think makes games so unique is that due to the fact that you have a lore, you can do anything in games because, like, let's face it, with movies, because a lot of times they like to have links, right? They like to link characters and story arcs and stuff. Whereas in games, because you're not dealing with human actors who age, who can die, who can, whatever happens, right? In a game, you can go like this. Oh, I can just redesign this character. I can reinvent this character. I can make this character someone's day. Like, and like I said, it's always going to be right. You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, you were saying about the Metal Gear games. One of the first things that you notice, like I said, we're not going to include Phantom Pain, but all the Metal Gear games, when you think of Solid Snake, it's David Hayter's voice. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So because Snake is a clone of Big Boss, when they cast Big Boss as the lead, it's guess who? David Hayter.
David Hayter.
You see what I'm saying? Like those are things that you can only do in games. Because remember, if you had a movie, it just doesn't quite work the same, right? You're like, I don't know, man. You know what I'm saying? Like certain things just don't quite work. But in gaming space, you can do things like that. You know what I'm saying? You can, I mean, think about it. You're an animator. You can make the characters look however you want them to look, right? You're like, oh, this character is a son or a daughter. Well, okay, we can make them look, eerily similar. Like, whereas, with movies, it's always like, I got to cast this actor or whatever.
Well, it's like Johnny Depp and Captain Sparrow, right? Is there a Pirates movie without Johnny Depp?
Yeah, it ain't gonna be the same. And that's the thing. Like, you can try to say like, oh, we're gonna have God, what are they doing now? Like basically a Miss Captain Jack, and we all know it's gonna be garbage. Is it Margot Robbie? I think is the protagonist.
Well, they're also now that, and we'll actually talk about this this week's episode. But now that the trial's wrapped up and Johnny's been mostly vindicated, I do think that they're going to talk to him about Pirate 6 and they're going to bring back Captain Jack Sparrow, if for nothing else, to give the character a proper send off, right? I don't know if they'll make us 7 and 8, 9, 10, Pirates of the Caribbean, but you got to give a beloved franchise character like that a proper send off. Not like what they did to Joel in Last of Us Part 2.
That game never happened. Well, and here's the thing. There were some people who have said, like, have you played something? I'll tell you what. Here's one of the beauties of the internet, right? Certain games you can look at, kind of similar to a movie, right? Like you can look at certain things and go, yeah, that I can see why that's not good. I finally saw a video of a guy critiquing Resident Evil 8, right? And he's just like, so as you're looking at it, I'm like, yeah, this is just not a good game. Like if I would have paid money for this, I would have been disappointed, right? If you are a huge Resident Evil fan and someone goes like this, oh, I heard Resident Evil 3 is trash. And then someone goes, well, did you play it? It's like, no, but I saw someone play it. Like just the nature of the game. This is an objectively bad game. Resident Evil 3 remake is fucking terrible, right? So like my brother never played it. And Resident Evil 3 is his favorite Resident Evil. And like he saw me playing, he's just like, this doesn't interest me at all, which is saying something, right? And he can look at that and go like this, oh yeah, this is terrible. So like I said, Last of Us Part 2, I saw the pacing issues. I saw that the combat had remained relatively unchanged. Like I said, story was terrible. The whole Abby thing, trying to make you care about someone that you just start off not liking. Some of the choices that characters were making didn't make sense. Yeah. And I was just like I said, when I look at this, like I'm watching someone do a breakdown, right? I'm just like, this just doesn't look good. Like this doesn't look like something I would want to play. And like I said, if someone told me after Resident Evil 2 remake, hey Drex, watch I play the Resident Evil 3. Do you want to play it? I would look at that game like I have no interest. This just looks bad. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah,
it's one of the beauties of the internet. Like, I mean, remember, Tim, back in the day, what did you have to do? You had to go out there and buy the game or borrow the game from someone, right? Or unless you had like a rental store that, and you and I both know with like certain games when they came out, they were always out of stock, right? Always.
Yeah.
Like those marquee games, you weren't renting them back in the day, man. For those people who don't know, in the 90s, early 2000s, certain games, when they hit the rental store, you're like, oh, I'm going to go rent it. No, you weren't. It was gone. Always.
I actually I rented the very first Call of Duty game I played, which was Finest Hour. Back then, Call of Duty was not what it is today. It was not the dominant video game on the market. I think the only video game that makes more money than Call of Duty as a franchise is probably a mobile game, one of those pay to win games like Candy Crush or something like that. But by the way, there's some mushroom simping going on in the chat. We'll have none of that. I'll ban and kick y'all. Rishi is not a real mushroom. Yeah, we have some callers come in. So, anyways, I wanted to put it out there that I think Halo 4 was one of the best pleasant sequel surprises, especially when a studio goes through as much turnover as they did. And you think this game's going to suck. They're going to ruin it, and they deliver a quality video game. Whether or not it's truly a Halo game, well, I mean, that's up for you guys. But I know someone was talking about it should have waited for the next generation of console. I mean, I think Snake Eater, if it would have been better if it had been on the PlayStation 3, but I'm okay with it being on the PlayStation 2. So,
yeah, I was too. Because I remember that was its own kind of thing. Remember that people were like, because it was toward the absolute end of the console era of the PS2. So PS2 released in 2000, and that game came out in 2004, if I recall. And it was like they're like, well, I mean, shouldn't you just wait for the new hardware? And you know what I'm saying?
I've never liked that argument. Like, don't delay your game just because of the hardware. Mm-hmm. Like, there better be a compelling reason. What's that game called? It was it's like the spiritual successor of Shadow of the Colossus.
Eco?
The Last Guardian.
Last Guardian, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. They had to delay that game because they didn't have the technology in the console to fully implement the game the way the director wanted to. That's a good reason to delay your game. Because he's like, the game's going to suck if I release it like this.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to wait for better hardware. James Cameron did the same thing with Avatar, right? Yeah, he had the script for Avatar, 30 years ago? Something like after the Titanic, but they didn't have the technology for the motion capture back then.
Yeah, if you release it, it would just basically be terrible. You would end up, it would end up looking like Clash of the Titans 1980. You know what I'm saying? Where if the technology isn't up to your imagination in your mind's eye, it's the same reason why a lot of people said Lord of the Rings was unmakeable for years. People like, I don't know if people know this, but like Lord of the Rings had floated around Hollywood for years, right? People, it would get up, collapse, get up, collapse, right? Like they just couldn't get it off the ground until Peter Jackson did it. Because it's like a lot of people say like, yo, man, this can't be made into a movie. So like that was one of the greatest feats of his trilogy, and like I said, that was a pleasant surprise on the movie front. Like, if you look at something that you believe can't be done in the movies, and then you see it being done, you can't help but be happy about that. And like I said, in with games, I believe that that's the reason why, like when a new team comes into a game, I truly believe that like sometimes what matters most is not the same people. It's let's just say the equal talent, right?
Yes.
Because if someone says, well, Tim, I'm not going to play the new Gears of War because Cliff left. But what if someone comes in with they have a new mindset, right? And they go like this: here's what Cliff did that we like, and here's what we're going to change. But like the core of the Gears experience is going to be there, but we're going to give you guys something fresh and new. Because let's face it, if you stay on any project too long, it's going to be eventually start to decline. You see what I'm saying? Because like you live in this, you have tunnel vision, right? Like no matter how creative you are,
you end up like Neil Cuckman. You get so far up your own ass, you can taste your own tongue.
Yeah, it's going to be like that same feel. Like I mean, I can give you guys a prime example. Silent Hill, right? Silent Hill 1 and 2, great games. They had their flaws with the clunky combat and controls and stuff, but like the overall experience, I believe, was pretty great in Silent Hill 1 and 2. And I said I wasn't a big fan of 3, although some people liked it. I think 3 felt just too similar. I was kind of like, you guys need to really mix this up. Silent Hill went through a very rough time, right? After you get past 3, from that point forward, Silent Hill just kept on releasing some games. Risha said Silent Hill The Room, because that was a game that was converted. Right, it was a game they went, let's just convert this and call it Silent Hill, right? So you had this streak of games with Silent Hill where it's like they didn't know how to get out of that rut. You see what I'm saying? Silent Hill was Origins on the PSP. I had that, and I was like, this game is kind of fun. But I'm like, but it feels like the same damn experience. I said, do something different. Because like I said, people they became beholden to that, like that one type. Like basically someone says like this, you know what, Tim, this is what a Silent Hill game is, right? So that's how you get formulaic, right? So like the very nature of a surprise is that it's going to surpass your expectation. The first time in, I would say, hell, at least 10 years that someone saw a Silent Hill game and they said, oh my God, what is that? Ironically, shocking, maybe not so shocking, it's when Hideo Kojima took over, right? With PT. The game that people saw, they went, holy shit, this is incredible, right? Because he was going to team up with Guillermo del Toro, right?
Yeah.
And that game would have been great, right? Because I mean, remember, you took Metal Gear's creator and then moved him to the horror genre. And that PT, right? That trailer, people said this game is fucking incredible, right? It got everything right. And then the politics, right? Konami, the politics. So then the fans lost out on something that would have been, I'm sure, incredible, right? And that would have restored people's faith.
Yeah, if you want to talk about games that didn't get released but should have, or that you really wanted to see, we got to do a stream sometime, Drex, about the game that should have been.
Yeah, the game. There are some games, man. Like you look at how some of these break down, and it's very unfortunate because I think there are certain games when you look at and you say this could have surprised people, it could have shocked the world. Final Fantasy VII was a relative surprise for its time because of the technological upgrade from the 16-bit era to 32-bit, and they had first started doing like the CG cutscenes and all this. It was a huge departure, and yet people went, man, this is so different, but I love what I'm seeing. You start looking at some of these games now, man, and like you're starting, like, and unfortunately, Final Fantasy kind of fell back into that rut of like sameness. You know what I'm saying? But it's like, every now and then a game comes out. Zelda Breath of the Wild was that way, where it's like Ocarina of Time set this standard in 3D Zelda adventures that basically remain unchanged, right? You go look at Ocarina of Time that got like, best game of all time awards, game of the year awards back when it released in 98. And then, but from that point forward, every Zelda game was basically just Ocarina of Time in a new skin, right?
Yeah.
You could change the look, like like Wind Waker or something like that.
What about Wand of Gamelon? Is that your favorite Zelda game?
Oh god, the CGI garbage. Oh god, that animation.
If it wasn't for Screw Attack, I think there may be 20 people on the planet who knows what that game is.
Oh yeah, here's the thing. This is the beauty of forgotten consoles, though, right? Is that like, I think one of the things that gamers do is that they can literally block something out of their mind to cope, right?
Yep.
Because I mean, if you ask any sane person, like I said, no one counts those as Zelda games, right? Like, yes, Nintendo licensed out the character, but it's like, I've never heard someone be like, Zelda did go through a rough patch with the CDI. Like, no, the CDI Zelda games don't count. You know what I'm saying? Like, no sane person even counts those, right?
But yeah, that's like saying Metal Gear Acid. It's like, oh, come on. Or
yeah. It's like, a card game, or what was it? Like a card. I think it was card based, right? Was that like the weird card based one? Turn based cards or something. Metal Gear Acid.
Yeah, I don't.
It was.
I don't know because I blocked it out.
I'm like, I
know they exist.
Every fan blocked that out of memory. They said, this is not a game, bro. Like, I'm not going to acknowledge this shit. So that was kind of like the thing that happened.
Other M never happened.
Yeah, Other M. There's certain games that when people look at, they just go, nah, never happened.
We've got some callers in here, so let's take some callers. Invader Tack is up first.
What's up?
Tack, what up?
So, my games. Oh, I can think of a few. I'm going to start with Spider-Man 2, the movie game. Now, the first Spider-Man movie game was fine. A little more linear. Level set structure, like you expect. But Spider-Man 2, they're like, okay, here's Spider-Man, dump him in Manhattan, explore as much as you want. Want to do the story? Fine. You want to just swing around and grab collectibles? Do that. The open world aspect changed Spider-Man games for the better.
Well, do you think that the developers play a part, or more so like the publishers allowing the developers to work? Because one of the things that you've noticed, like with movie licensed games or like licensed characters that have been around forever, they always kind of want to make them like, oh, you need to make the game like this. Like, it's almost like they box the developer in. Have you ever gotten that sense?
Well, I think I don't know if Disney even would have been involved if they had owned Marvel by then. Like I remember, this was 2002, so pre-Disney buying Marvel. So I guess and also this was the movie game, so Sony obviously had some say in it. Although Activision did publish it, and one of their studios developed it. I think it was it Vicarious Visions? Let me see.
Looking up Wikipedia articles live on the air.
You can hear the little
Okay. Okay, Treyarch is also credited. What versions did they do?
Well, Treyarch is the developer of the Zombies and World at War Call of Duty.
Right.
Black Ops. And
they split up Call of Duty between Infinity Ward and Treyarch.
Yep. And then Sledgehammer Games does the off year, so they did Cold War. And then there's Raven Software. I mean, nowadays, so I think all 4 studios are actually working on Modern Warfare Roman numeral 2.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Oh, yeah, they are remaking.
So it is a clusterfuck trying to figure out the studios sometimes.
They remade Modern Warfare 1. So now it's like, okay, remake Modern Warfare 2. So what I'm wondering is, will they keep the no Russian mission?
Oh, they won't.
No,
I don't know. You gotta remember, it's cool to hate Russia these days.
Oh, well,
but here's the thing too.
It's correct to hate Russia.
I mean, that was Modern Warfare Roman numeral 1, right? How long ago was that? Was that 2019?
It was Modern Warfare 2 that had Russia.
Yeah, but the God damn it, I hate how they've numbered these games.
I know, right?
You never know. Okay, so Modern Warfare 2019.
Right.
What Russia was the enemy, or one Russian general was the enemy. And
he was. I know a little bit of the Call of Duty Modern Warfare.
Yeah, total reimagining and reinventing of the story. Like none of the story from the original Modern Warfare carried over. The characters did, but none of the story did.
So totally what? There's no nuke part where the nuke is fired and you see your guy crawling out of the chopper and just drop dead. That part's not in the remake.
Well, it may not be. I don't know. It hasn't been released yet. But
I thought you were talking Modern Warfare 1 remake.
Yeah,
the nuke was in Modern Warfare 1. Modern Warfare 1. No Russia was Modern Warfare 2.
Yeah. So there was no nuke crawling out of the nuke scene. The missile launch. And then for people following at home, the original Call of Duty 1 is actually Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare.
Correct.
Then it's Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2. Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2019 was a complete reimagining, so none of the story was kept from Call of Duty 4.
This sounds like a subject for an episode of Angry Video Game Nerds Chronologically Confused sequel.
Actually, go check out his channel. He's actually Angry Video Game Nerds.
I love that guy. Shout out to James Rolfe. Do you know that he's at the National Video Game Museum in Dallas or in Frisco?
He's there right now?
No. As in, like there's a section devoted to him.
That makes sense.
In the museum.
That makes sense.
Yeah, shout out to him, man. He has a great channel.
Definitely. But I don't know. I guess Activision was a lot less dumb back then. Because you gotta remember, the Spider-Man 2 movie game was out in 2000. Oh, the game wasn't. Yeah, the game was out in 2004. Because wasn't the movie around that year as well?
Yeah, wait, hold on. Spider-Man 3 was that 2003? 2003 or 4 is one or the other. I want to say 4. Maybe.
I'm looking up the Wikipedia page for the Spider-Man 2 movie game.
Oh, Spider-Man 2. Yeah, Spider-Man. The movie
that was 2000. The game was 2004. I guess the movie was 2. Mm-hmm. Spider-Man 3 movie game wasn't as good.
Well, the movie was terrible.
Yeah, yeah.
That movie was garbage.
Venom was barely in it. They hyped up Venom, and he's barely in it. It's like
That movie can go suck a whole bag of dicks, man. That movie was garbage.
Yeah.
Like Archer says, eat a buffet of dicks.
Right? Yeah, just when like, when you get that gut punch, like that's why I said like the great thing about this episode is that it's on the opposite side of like the positive surprise because I mean like there's I think personally there might be even positive surprises to negative surprises, but like let's face it, we remember the negative surprise because our anticipation was so high. You see what I'm saying? Like, like that's why it sticks to the ribs more. It sticks with you because you're like, that fucking they betrayed me. Whereas like feeling betrayed is not the same as feeling like I said, this Top Gun Maverick, everyone keeps saying is a great movie. See, pleasant surprise, but like watching the Disney Star Wars movies, horrible surprise. You're like, this is terrible.
Nick saw Top Gun Maverick. He loved it.
Yeah, everyone keeps saying I might take my daughter to it. Maybe I don't know if she'd be interested, but
I don't know.
Anyway, any parting words, Jack, before we get the next caller in?
Another game. I'm not sure I'd call it a pleasant surprise because I had a feeling it'd be good. Ratchet and Clank Up Your Arsenal. It just hit all. If you played the other two Ratchet and Clank games on PS2, I don't know. It just hit all the right notes. Story, the humor, all the crazy weapons you got.
Yeah, the original Ratchet and Clank was a great release for what was it? PS3?
PS2. Well, really? Ratchet and Clank started on PS2.
Wow, this is that long ago, huh?
Yep.
Yeah.
And then, what did you think of the remake?
Crap, I think that was 20 years ago too. I think the original Ratchet and Clank was out in 2002.
What did you think of the remake of Ratchet and Clank?
I haven't had a chance to play it yet. The only thing that kind of annoyed me about the remake is one of the weapons was locked behind a pre-order bonus, and they still haven't made it available for non-pre-orders.
Huh. Well, that sucks.
And I haven't played Rift Apart because PS5.
Yeah.
It's easier to get an Xbox Series X than a PS5. It seems. I don't know. Microsoft just seems to have their distribution and manufacturing. They're just more on top of their manufacturing than Sony is. I don't know.
Yeah, the Ratchet and Clank series is pretty legendary. I haven't actually played many of the games.
You should.
I've played the original. I played the remake, and oh god, I don't remember one of them. One random one that was in the rental store. I can't remember which one.
Hard to say. Because I know
there's 8 games in that franchise now.
Quite a few.
Yeah, there's a lot.
Years.
And then there's like a couple. There was one spinoff. There was one with just Clank in it.
Yeah, that was on PSP, and then they ported it to PS2. Because actually, the PSP one, the other PSP one, Size Matters, also got a PS2 port.
Yeah, there you go. So, it's hard to keep track of them, but
that kind of reminds me, kind of getting off track of it. Have you noticed that a lot of games got released on both the Wii and the PS2? I guess the hardware was just so similar between the two. It was like, okay, we can quick and dirty port this to PS2 or Wii or whichever direction they go.
Now, there are some hardcore PS1 gamers out there that might that'll call me out for this one, but Up Your Arsenal is not the first time that statement has been used in a video game. If you guys remember the Tiny Tank franchise, that's a property that hasn't been around in decades, but
must have been a little before my time.
Yeah,
or it was a PC game because I didn't really PC game until the.
No, it was on a PlayStation 1. Tiny Tank is Tank. God. But anyways, it was marketed as Up Your Arsenal as well. So that when you said that, I kind of had a flashback there. Tiny Tank was it was an adult game marketed at kids because your character just the PS1 era was weird because your character would always just spit out random lines while you were playing the game,
Mhm.
and this one, Tiny was a vulgar character, so yeah.
Almost makes you wonder how they got away with it. Unless it got an M rating. Let me check.
Oh, I'm pretty sure it was rated mature. I think you weren't allowed to give that game to kids, but
T.
there were ways.
T.
T for
teen.
Okay,
Yeah,
but he did swear a lot.
It's on Steam.
Anyways,
it's on Steam. That's funny.
yeah, of course it is.
I wonder, is it the native PC version?
I'm not sure, but it
might
was
actually be a PC. I'm looking at the Steam page. It might be a native PC version because the minimum OS is Windows 8.1. But it could just be the PS1 version in an emulator.
Anyways, it's a
cult. Oh, wait, it might be a native version. It was released, the Steam version was released last year. Huh.
Anyways, cult. It had a cult following. Tack, anything to show before we get you out of here?
Not really. I do have a YouTube. I do have a Twitch. I just haven't done much with either in like years.
All right.
Damn.
Well, thank you very much for calling in.
No problem.
We'll get the next caller in here. Feel free to hang out. The backstage is not full.
All
right. See you later.
All right, Tech. Movie games. Fucking Spider-Man 2.
Who's next? Leximus was in next. And then Rishi's after Leximus, and then Kat's in the chat as well.
There it is.
Wifey.
Our man.
Lex, how are you?
What is up?
Living the dream, just chilling. I'm right now playing some Fallout 3, getting into gaming. It's been a while since I've been able to play. I'm having a lot of fun playing that. But wanted to come in and, talk about the game that it was a surprising sequel. Well, I don't know if it goes against the concept of the show, but disappointing sequel that probably would have to go with like some of the Kingdom Hearts games. I know I'm gonna be a typical Lex talking about Kingdom Hearts, but it's like you don't understand. There was so many games waiting in between from 2 to 3. It was years and years of like games that were good, games that weren't good, they're mediocre, and I don't know if I should go into detail about them, but like it was so many games in between. Oh my god, it felt like a lifetime. It was like 15 years from 2 to 3. Just wondering what's happening, and then this whole saga is done. So,
but what about the good ones though? The good surprise.
The good surprise ones I'd probably have to say were Birth by Sleep. That one was on the PSP. That one was like really important to the story plot wise. It had good combat. It was a fun game. It had a huge plot ramifications. It basically started explaining like why things are the way they are. Like you started to learn about Master Xehanort, the man who was behind things, and how he was plotting, and how you found out that Sora had the heart of Ventus inside of him, and that's why Roxas looks like Ventus, and it was a great game, great story. You played 3 different characters, 3 different plots of the game, but they all coincide and intertwine. So you play the story of Ventus, and then you play story of Terra and Aqua throughout the games, and you can see how like okay, what happened in this part of the story affected this part of the story, and until they all met at the end of the game and had the final showdown against their respective final bosses, and why that wasn't the way it was.
One of the things about the Kingdom Hearts games that you've mentioned before is like the intricate plot. Do you think that like one of the reasons why things can go south in terms of like your like the final product is because the plot got so convoluted?
Yeah, it can. I mean, again, the plot in itself is not convoluted. I will say there are some like plot conveniences. Like, okay. I mean, I can see how you got to this point, but it's kind of lazy in that point, in that sense. But it's important. Like each game is important. I will say one of the most like surprising games, was a pleasant surprise, was the game that came out recently. Melody of Memory. It's basically like a rhythm action game, like where you play and do rhythm games and it's like music. So you play all the music of the franchise and play it, and that was a lot of fun. And that also introduced some huge plot ramifications. Not a lot, but it basically explained to what happened to Sora after the end of the third game, like where he ended up, because he's kind of dead right now.
I like how you kind of did.
Well, we don't really know exactly where he is. Like that's the thing. We don't actually know what happened. Like, so in the Kingdom Hearts 4 trailer, there was like it was all in Japanese, and the word that they used was afterworld. So I don't know if they were supposed to put afterlife, but if it was just a bad translation. So we don't know yet exactly what happened to Sora. Because he basically died.
Wait, have you ever played as another character in the Kingdom Hearts games?
Oh, multiple times. You've played as Riku in Chain of Memories and Re-Chain of Memories. You've played as all of Organization 13 and 358 Days Over 2. You've played as, like I said, Roxas, Ventus, Ventus, Aqua, Terra, and Birth by Sleep. You've played as Riku again in Dream Drop Distance, and then you've also played as Aqua again in Kingdom Hearts 3 and Riku again in Kingdom Hearts 3. And I think that's all the and Kairi too. Technically, yeah. So you've played multiple characters throughout the franchise. It's not always just Sora, but in like the mainline games, it is technically Sora. It's always Sora.
That makes sense. Well, here, let me ask you this though: what is it that causes? I mean, obviously, money is what motivates, Square Enix to make so many Kingdom Hearts games. But like, do you think that that's kind of hurting the final product? Like, because you end up. I think you can damage your brand if you make too many damn sequels.
I will say I will think that it might have hurt Kingdom Hearts in the long run. Because I'll be honest, like I can admit that the story is good, but I do also understand that they're like he kind of was making it up as he was going. Tetsuya Nomura, like there was no real like there might have been an outline, but since he just kept going and just getting all these inspirations, and he was trying different kinds of games, because like I will say I do like that not every single game is formulaic. Each game is very very unique to itself. Like Kingdom Hearts 1 is more RPG. There's a lot more heavier RPG and platforming. The combat was good, but it wasn't as fleshed out. Kingdom Hearts Chain of Memories, the first sequel, was a weird combination card game where you had to use cards to stack them on top of each other and use action moves, and it was a weird concept, but it was fun. Some people don't like it. When I was a kid, it was really complicated to me because it was like all these numbers and adding them together. But then Kingdom Hearts 2 was an evolution of the first game, where it was more combat, was more tighter, less focus on the RPG, no platforming whatsoever. Story was great. It was really tight. Then the next game after that was Tactic 358 Days Over 2, which was a DS game, which was kind of experimental. You played as different characters. That game I never actually played. I only ever watched the movie version of it in the re-releases. So because there's two games in the franchise that they couldn't really remake because it was like made on the DS and the both on the DS. So they just made like a movie version of it. So that game I never actually played. And then you played Birth by Sleep, which was on the PSP, but PSP was a little bit limited on the amount of like not graphical, but the combat was, because since there was only one way to move the camera, the combat wasn't as tight. It was very floaty. That was one of the complaints that people had about Birth by Sleep. The story was great, but the combat was way too floaty. It didn't move as much. It took forever to do simple attack combos than it was in the previous games. And then you had Rechain or Recoded and then Dream Drop Distance and a bunch of crazy crap.
All right. Man. Too much Kingdom Hearts history.
too much lore.
Yeah, no. One of these days, Rex, we're gonna get Lex in here to just do like a complete Kingdom Hearts timeline and review every single game of the franchise. You and I will just leave our mics mute and go get lunch, and we'll just leave Lex in here by himself.
Oh my God, no! I mean, even if I were to begin, it's like each game requires you to know some base knowledge. Like I'm telling you, the games are good. If you just buy the all-in-one collection, you'll have 10 games, multiple hours of fun. It's all just in one collection. You should do it.
No, I don't feel. I don't think I'll do that. Okay, what is the? I do want to ask you, what is the ugly stepchild of the Kingdom Hearts franchise? Which game is the other M?
Oh well, sorry, that was Miss Lex covering my mouth. I would, I don't know. I mean, I'm not really into the fandom because, like I said, the fandom is a bunch of degenerate yaoi sympathizers. So I'm not that into the fandom. But if if I were to say the redheaded stepchild, which I've grown to love, but I would probably think it was Chain of Memories. It's the card game. It's not like a card game where you play like Yu-Gi-Oh. Like you're moving around and fighting, but you're using the cards as combat, and it's so hard to explain if you haven't seen it. But once you see it, it'll make sense. And I've learned to love it. But as a kid, I would definitely say, like, what the fuck is this? Like, why? I don't want to do math while I'm playing a game. I don't want to have to sort out my cards into a specific way so I can make combos. And it was a very experimental, but like not the most fun way to play the game. I've learned to love it over time, but it took time. I would say that one.
Say hi to Miss Lex for us.
They say hi, babe.
Tell them hi for me.
They can hear you, babe.
Oh,
Barely.
hi everyone.
Hey, there's Miss Lex.
Hey, Miss Lex.
Sorry, I've
You're
been
gonna
in action.
You're gonna have to limit his game time there. He's or at least buy him a different game. Go.
I wish I could.
Get him a.
I mean, to be honest, I haven't touched the game in well over like 8-9 months. I haven't played King much, actually almost a year.
He tried to make me play it, and somehow I made a glitch.
Yeah, I don't know. I let her play the game one time, and she did some game-breaking glitch that I've never seen. I've been playing the game 20 years, mind you, and somehow, some way, I don't know how she does it. She's like cursed with technology.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She gets on the game and it just fucking takes a shit. Unreal.
Yeah, for real.
All right. We'll catch you both some other time. We'll get you back in to talk, but we need to keep the line moving. So any parting words for us, Lex?
If you hate Kingdom Hearts, you're just a pleb. You don't understand what you're talking about. You need to actually play the games to understand. They are good games. I'm telling you, people, don't listen to the people on the internet. They're all liars and swindlers and shysters and grifters.
All right. We'll see you out of here. Thanks, Lex.
No problem.
And bye-bye, Miss Lex.
Bye, everyone. Have a good night.
Always.
Next up, we have someone who pretends to be a mushroom.
Yo, untrue, but I'll forgive it just this once. What's up?
Rishi, what is up?
I heard you guys were talking about video game sequels.
You know it. What is your biggest pleasant surprise in a video game sequel?
My biggest pleasant surprise? I'll say God of War. I really like the God of War.
The new one?
Yeah, I kind of do. I kind of do. Because here's the thing, Drex. It's like these franchises, because if you've ever played God of War 1, 2, and 3, you know the story of Kratos, the God Slayer, has ended at 3. And this is a completely new story. And it's, changing hands, completely new gameplay. And I kind of like it, I don't shit on like the previous past entries into this series, but I think it's a good direction, and I think I'm kind of optimistically cautious about this new one. But yeah, I feel like, and I'll go out on a limb here, I don't think God of War has ever had a bad sequel.
Mm-hmm.
In the history.
Did you play the PSP version on? Because that was the first one, the first and only one I ever played through all the way.
Which one was it?
Chains of Olympus.
Chains of Olympus.
Chains of Olympus.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah. I remember because that came with my my PSP. I got that package.
Yeah, I know
the Chains of Olympus package or combo deal. And I remember getting the PSP. I was like, okay, well, let me try God of War. I was like, this game is actually pretty nice. Like, I'm digging this.
Yeah, you only played like a PSP like spin-off game, prequel game. Imagine how much like Drex. I want you to imagine. Be me. Be like little Rishi playing I think I started with God of War 2. Yeah, I did. Be me, be little Rishi. Don't I kind of recap the story, this guy Kratos, whatever, he kills the God of War, comes the God of War, but he's still fucking angry. Basically rampaging through, all of Greece, whatever. Okay, cool. He loses his powers, and then all of a sudden he fights the Colossus of Rhodes, this giant bronze statue. And my little kid brain couldn't wow. And you're just fighting through Rhodes, fighting this thing. And then you defeat it with Zeus's help, and then he betrays you. It's like, what's going on?
Those are the best. Yeah, well, I played God of War 2018. I just didn't finish it. I probably got in about, I want to say, I probably got a few hours of that game, man. Because I remember renting it from Redbox just to just kind of try it out. And I remember, was it your son was with Atreus?
Yeah,
and he always called boy. Yeah, I
boy.
remember that.
Boy.
Yeah, the presentation was nice. Yeah, I just think that with a lot of these games, like we were saying earlier, I just think that it's a beautiful thing that in the gaming medium, you can always reinvent yourself, because you can't really do that anywhere else. You know what I mean? Where you can truly reinvent the wheel. And I think like I said, I only played a bit of that God of War, but I was like what I played in that early part of the game, I liked. Yeah, it was just like I said, it had a different look, a different feel. Because like I said, I played the PSP version. I had seen the original God of War when it was on PS2.
Oh yeah, definitely, and that's what a lot of games are doing now. Did you watch the Sonic 2 reveal?
Wait, or you say Sonic?
Was it Sonic
Frontiers or something?
Frontier, whatever
they call it Sonic Breath of the Wild or whatever,
or something. I don't know what it is, but it looks pretty unique. It looks pretty new.
Yeah,
especially
I think it's a good option, because this thing, what they've been doing with Sonic hasn't been working, right? So why not take a page out of Breath of the Wild and let Sonic run free into enter certain zones and all this other shit? I always root for Sonic because no one likes seeing Sonic make bad games, because he's been making bad games for 20 years. So you want to see Sonic
he's still alive though.
He
just keeps coming back.
Drex, there's somewhat, you watch basketball players play their entire career without once getting to the finals, right? A very talented, good player doesn't get to the finals, and you're like, this guy just needs a W. That's Sonic. He just needs a W. Please, someone give him a W.
Yeah, he's been making bad games for decades, man.
Hey, man, all he needs is a good Crush 40 song, okay? And it's it's completely a good game again. All right. Live and learn. Anyway.
Flexing the vocals.
Live and learn. Hanging on the edge of tomorrow.
I think that song's in Smash Bros. Yeah, it is.
Rishi also is an avid player of Guitar Hero.
I wouldn't say that.
What about Rock Band?
I wasn't messing with Tim.
The stepchild of that fucking franchise.
I've only played it with maybe if my friend had it, but I never owned any of those games.
I would I'd give you guys $100 super chat if you and Manic did a duet on one of those games.
Oh man, I'm not sure you would want to watch that.
I would definitely want to watch that. Hey, we'll get wifey here in a second, but Rishi, any other good sequel games come to mind?
I definitely can name another one. It's generally when this kind of talk comes up, people generally bring this up. I'd have to say is Batman Arkham City, right? Because if you've ever played Batman Arkham Asylum and you're a Batman man before, you're like, this is the Batman game. Mm-hmm. And you're wondering how they could do it better. in the sequel, and they do it better. Like everything is improved. The detective system, the boss battles, everything. Even the story, I think, was extremely better. Especially spoilers at the end when you find out that's like Clayface and the Joker actually like dies. I was like, whoa. This game went places.
That's fucking intense. One of the things I loved about Arkham City, because like I said, I only play. I can't remember if I played it or if like I said, I want to say those were the early days of GameFly. But one of the things I did remember was the Hugo Strange tapes.
Oh yeah,
where he talks to the villains. Those were amazing.
Ooh, did you ever go into like Crime Alley to find like the tape he left for Batman?
No. I didn't get a chance to actually like play through the game. So like I said, I had seen it online. Obviously, like years later, the Hugo Strange tapes I thought were great.
If you if you ever have the time, I'd say pick up that game again because you're going to have a lot of enjoyment, especially with the side quests. The side quests are like excellent.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's one with the identity thief. I'm not going to spoil who it is. There's one with like Victor Zsasz where you have to find like telephones to like triangulate where he is in Arkham City. Like, there's a lot of good stuff like that, especially like, and there's a few Easter eggs you can find in there, really special moments. It's an overall very great game. I'd say the only thing that was bad about it was that there was like a Catwoman DLC, and it was all right. It was all right, but like as soon as you downloaded it, you had to like play through it, and I gotta say I didn't really want to. I wanted to play as Batman the whole time.
Was the game itself good though? Like the DLC itself was good, or was just
it was. Don't get me wrong, it wasn't bad, but it's like
you just wanted more Batman.
I just want to play as Batman. Like Catwoman's, she could do some things differently, but she didn't have all the cool gadgets. She couldn't like glide or anything. The move, it's just kind of weird, and it broke up the pace of the story too. When you like had to go back and forth, I think like 4 times in total. Damn. There's a mission in the beginning. You're Catwoman. Somewhere in the middle, there's like, and I think at the end too, because you got to like fight Two-Face for some reason. I don't know. Actually, yeah. Anyway, also it has the best boss battle in all of them, Mr. Freeze.
Yeah, everyone has told me about that. That being like the premier boss battle.
Well, yeah,
I remember that got the award that year. I believe it was at 2011. I believe was it 2011? Was it later? It was Arkham City. I'm trying to remember what year that came out, but I do remember the Mr. Freeze boss battle was considered the best boss battle of that whole year.
Well, yeah, it was because it was innovative. It was a predator section, which is basically what they call stealth sections, and every time you used a tactic, Freeze would adapt to it. So if you did a ledge takedown where you're hanging from the ledge to takedown, he would freeze the ledges so you couldn't do that anymore. Or if you do like a zip line kick or something like that, or if you like were hiding in grates, he would freeze the grates. He would like change the environment so you couldn't do the same thing twice. Nice. Imagine taking him down in like hard mode, where you have to exhaust every possible way you can take him down. It's crazy. Shit was crazy.
I think they need more of that in games. Those dynamic boss battles.
Oh yeah,
I thought the end kind of did that.
Yeah,
too,
the end
in Metal Gear. Yeah. Like for its time, that was pretty dynamic.
Yeah, the fact that you did a boss battle in 3 separate loading screens.
Yep.
Right, 3 areas of Socorro that was new. I'd never seen that before in a game. Because you've seen like bosses phases or stages, right? But you can never go back to that first stage.
Correct.
So that was new and interesting. Of course, that's the boss fights in Snake Eater is part of what made Snake Eater so legendary.
Oh yeah, that was easily one of the best aspects of the game.
But Rishi, your channel, you recently got over 1,000 subs, right?
Yep.
Well, show your channel. Where can people find you?
Oh, you can find me at Rishi on YouTube or Twitter, Instagram. You're gonna have to find me though. You're gonna have to put that work in.
Does it help if you search Rishi Warband?
Probably.
Yeah, I think that helps. But of course, check out the rest of the Warband too.
For sure. Check out Manic, Undead Chronic, Sir Yeetus, Ribby the Party Frog, Riker the Biker. And I'll go and check out so the next person can get up here. But anyway, It was nice talking to you guys.
Hey, always a pleasure, Rishi. Shout out to the War Band too.
For sure. See you.
Take care.
Peace out.
Next up is the wife, Miss Wifey.
Hi there.
There she is. What is up? What is up?
Nothing much. Just enjoying listening to you guys.
Nice, nice. Well, you know it is gaming time. So what is your gaming sequel that pleasantly surprised you?
You've already talked about this earlier, but it's the skins from the 4th Crash Bandicoot, where you can like do the original Crash. Like when I found that out, I kind of lost it. I think you were taking a nap on the couch.
Yeah, I remember. I think I woke up into you being like orgasmically happy that you could play as Blocky Crash again.
I was
like, you want to play as Blocky Crash? And you're like, oh my god, this is what I live for.
I was stupidly happy after I got that skin. I was just like, wait, you're telling me that I can? Because they had these other ones that I had already gotten and I didn't really care about. But you're telling me I can play as the original Crash? Oh my god, I lost it. That actually may have been why you woke up from your nap.
Yeah, I was like, oh, I'm so tired. Well, wait, what's going on? What, Crash? Oh, wait, you got a skin? Now, when you talk about the skins of Crash, like, talk about how you felt about the Crash games growing up, because like that in and of itself is like a pleasant surprise with each sequel. Like, what was the thing when those games were first coming out in the PS1 era? What did you like about each sequel?
Well, okay, do you know, I actually like the fact that they kept adding like new villains and like there was new masks and all that. But it was the level changes.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, but they also incorporated the old ones. Like I like how like all the old bosses kind of came back and made their little cameos, like Tony the Tiger or Tiny the Tiger. I forget his name.
Yeah, fuck that guy.
I know you hate him because I made you beat him one time.
I hated that boss battle. Yeah, I was just like, oh,
I made you play for me that one time because I had died like 80 times in a row, and I was like, I can't anymore. Here, do this. Wifey privileges. But yeah, no, I like, but I actually thought about this. The level changes for everyone was really different. You know, like in the second one, I think that one's warped. Or is that the third?
Yeah,
I always get.
I get confused. Is Warped the second one? Crash Bandicoot?
No, Warped is the third one.
What was the second one? Cortex Strikes Back, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wait. So the second, I liked how like you went to the middle platform, and then that was a level change.
Yeah, that would bring you up to like the second stage, the third stage, right?
I liked that aspect of it. And then when you got to Warped, it was just like the different panels and like it sucked you in. Platforms. Yeah. And then
the Tiny Tiger fight in Crash 2 was a lot harder than the Tiny Tiger fight in Crash 3, but still.
Probably because like there were certain ones I said I think Drex just gets like the most enjoyment out of watching me just dog cuss a video game, especially when it comes to the boss fights. Because I just
they do get fairly difficult to I mean, we all remember those old platformers. You have to obviously it was about pattern recognition, but I mean, hell, some of the patterns were tough. I mean, you were playing that were you playing the newest one where you were fighting Cortex?
Yeah, that's the one that that's another one I had to make you play because I wasn't fast enough on some of the stuff. When you had to like jump on the things.
So
yeah, some of those boss battles, man, Yeah, they're like, Tim, have you ever looked at a boss battle? Like when you're the person like watching someone else, you're kind of like, well, just do this, right? Like it's not that hard. But once
it's just that easy.
It's just that easy. And then once you have the control in your hand, you're falling for like the same shit because like it plays tricks on your brain. You're like, why I keep falling for this? Like Mega Man is notorious for that. Like you can watch someone play Mega Man and be like one of the first ones that happened was the original where you fought the Yellow Devil, and you're like, dude, just do this, and like once you had the controller, just time after time you get hit by the same thing. You're like, God damn it,
man.
But that's how she was with Crash.
If you love platforming games, like if you're a fan of the old Super Mario and and Mega Man, Crash Bandicoot's a game you've got to try at least once, because it's a comparable platformer to those other two, and the evolution of the Cortex fights in the 4 games. Because the first game, you fight him on a blimp as the island burns down. The second game, you fight him in space. And then the third game, you fight him in his lab while the 2 masks are fighting each other, and you have to dodge their fight.
You know what? I'm starting to think about it. I don't know if I've ever actually beaten any of the games. I don't know what you're talking about. I'm like, maybe I never beat these games.
Oof.
Yeah, they are difficult. Like getting okay, so you remember in the first Crash game, Cortex had an assistant, right?
Yeah, it's like the Igor guy. But like, dude, I actually never played the first Crash game. I started on the second one.
I think and oh god, I forget if he came back, and I don't think he came back in the second one. Cortex is the only recurring character that's been in all 4 games, I think.
Yeah, because the second one I think is the Evil Mask.
The Evil Mask was in Warped, the third one.
No,
maybe he had like
the third one was the time traveler guy.
Yeah,
right?
The time traveler guy. But I think was he also in the second one?
No, I think the Evil Mask guy was in the second one. The time guy was the third one.
He definitely wasn't in the first one.
Because that's like they always build.
And Tiny wasn't in the first one, and Ripper Roo wasn't in the third one.
Is that the armadillo?
No, Tiny Tiger. Ripper Roo is the dog. The dog in the straitjacket. In the second game.
Oh yeah.
In the second game, like Professor Roo.
Yeah, I remember him now. Okay, yeah, because he did the bomb stuff because he was crazy.
Yeah, in the first game, he does something. His fight is very similar, but he's a cute character.
Yeah, but I also do like the callback though in the newest one because I did play a little bit of the first Crash because my hubby was very nice, and one of my first gifts was the 3 games in one. And I played a little bit of the first one because I'd never played it before, but I don't know if I got really far.
Yeah. Oh, the chat's helping us out here. Yeah, his assistant was Embryo.
Yeah.
And Jin.
Yeah.
That's the guy with the nuke stuck in the side of his head.
Yeah.
Then Troppy was Tropy or Trop. I don't know how to say it.
Yeah, Entropy. Yep.
I guess it's supposed to be the word, right? Entropy. Yep. Yeah, so it's Tropy. Entropy.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's I could have sworn he made a quick cameo in the second game, but I must be forgetting that wrong.
I think that is what I like though about like all the Crash villains is I do think that they all come back. I mean, and in the fourth one you get to play some of them.
Right, Dingo Dial, right?
Yeah, him.
Yeah, Dingo Dial.
Drex watched me die a lot with him. I could not figure out how to play that character.
Slap an Australian accent on a Crash character, and it makes sense. It's good. Like
I told her that. I told her one of the things I love. We were having this conversation. I said the mascot characters are eternal, whereas, like I said, a lot of characters you can make. Like this thing, we can all play the original Last of Us and love Joel and Ellie, but at the end of the day, those characters can only last for a very small amount of time. And like you don't get me wrong, you can always go back and enjoy the game. But like humanoid characters, Tim, if you notice, they just don't have that same oomph that like let's face it, we can love Solid Snake, right? But like there's not going to be a Snake kart racing game. You see what I'm saying? Only mascots have the privilege of, transcending every genre, right? And like Mario versus Rabbids, right? Like, or it's like just ridiculous stuff, right?
I don't know, Drex. I could definitely go for like a mecha Metal Gear fight.
Oh yeah.
Like Smash Brothers, but for Metal Gear models.
Yeah, Metal Gear Ray and Rex and all that, and the Shagahad. It's like, but that's the thing. Like
Sahelanthropus, if you want the fifth one.
The fifth one, and that's the thing though. It's like when you play these games like Crash, I'm sitting there playing with a cat, and like one of the things that I think that we love about those platformers is that like the boss fights, like there were certain, like sometimes it was the level itself. There's something about frustrating parts in platform games that like you can't help but keep playing, right? Like you get more and more frustrated, you start swearing, you're pissed off, and then you just grab the controller yet again, right?
I have ripped some of my teeth out. Like, I lost a baby tooth to the cord of my SNES because I was so frustrated. I put the cord in my mouth and ripped it out, and a tooth came out with it.
Oof.
And I was just like, oh.
It's like the polar bear one, Drax. Remember that it was your first visit.
Yeah. That's so that level. I told her that's the same level my daughter made me beat for her. When you hop on the polar bear and you got to do like the big run. And like
it's all timing. It's memory.
It's all timing. And here's the thing though. That level is actually relatively hard considering the type of game Crash is, and that level comes pretty early.
Yeah. By the way,
I was kind of like, damn, that was a difficulty spike.
Stu in the private chat said, don't forget Metal Gear Peace Walker. Yeah, you have to be a true Metal Gear fan to know this one. Add in Metal Gear Russia. Drex, do you know which one that one's from?
No, I didn't play those PSP ones that much.
Yeah.
I played the PSP. Like, I remember playing Portable Ops. I didn't beat Portable Ops, though. I remember playing it because I think I ended up losing my PSP. I lost it at work, and I remember being like, "Oh shit!" And of course, it came like you have like a little game case.
Yeah.
So the games that were in there were lost. I was kind of like, "Well, there went that." So I never played it again. But I do remember that being a decent game, though. Portable Ops.
Yeah. Well, so Peace Walker was everything Portable Ops kind of scaled, and it ported well over into consoles as well. So Peace Walker was originally for the PS Vita. Sorry, it was for the PS Vita, and then it ported over into the PlayStation 3 with the release of the Legacy Collection.
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah, Metal Gear Russia was in Portable Ops, and it was at the very end before you go fight Gene. By the way, I would love to see them flesh that out. So they haven't actually officially acknowledged the canonity of Portable Ops. So none of the characters in that game, like Cunningham or Gene, ever reappeared in another game.
Yep.
And I'm like, I would love to see. I would love to see like a proper fight with Gene, just because Gene was actually a decent concept for a final boss. It's like they took a little bit of Liquid Snake and put it into someone in Big Boss's era. But I would love to see something like that fleshed out more. I don't know though. I don't know what form it would take or how. Maybe it'd be a fan remake or something. But it's just they hyped Gene up as such a powerful enemy, and then his fight was so underwhelming just because it was on the PSP. There's not much you could do gameplay wise.
That makes sense. But I mean, at the end of the day, though, when we think about the games that pop up in a franchise that surprise us and shock us and wow us, that's the reason why, like I said, I think that like the longer you go, I think the more you should basically try to have new voices step in, because Kat wasn't even sure about playing Crash 4, and like at first she kind of didn't like some of like the new. I think you get like new not weapons. What is it, like a new
masks?
It was the new characters.
Yeah, you get characters, and you also get like new devices and stuff, right? Like they have like different mechanics.
Yeah, there was it. I think that was what threw me off because I didn't like the fact because that's what took me so long with the Dingo Dial or whatever was figuring out like what you're supposed to be doing.
Mm-hmm.
And because some of the controls are the same, but some of them are really different, and what you're supposed to be doing with those characters are really different. And I was just like, I just wasn't as big of a fan of that. But I thought it was like a fun thing. I just wish the levels weren't as hard as they were. Like, like maybe like start off with this and then run with it. Because like Coco, when you have her in Crash 3 Warped, like it's pretty much the same controls as Crash on the polar bear.
Mm-hmm.
It's the same thing, so you don't really have the same. It's not an issue. Whereas like you have these other characters that like, oh, they're throwing like a rope. They're using their alligator tail instead of a spin, and it's like, okay. So just figuring, and then Nero, you play as Dr. Nero.
Yeah, that caught me off guard, not gonna lie.
Yeah, that caught me off too. I mean, but I do also like the callback to the old map. In the fourth one, they also bring back because like in the 2 and 3, I like how they have the different levels and stages set up, but in the fourth one, they really do a callback to the old map. The classic, almost like Mario, Mario Brothers map, where it's just like you can see where you have to go.
Yeah, and the game looks gorgeous. One of the things that like I said, I remember when Crash came out on PS1, and like so seeing it evolve into 4 is like, and that's the reason why I like characters like Crash to always live on. Sonic, all mascot. I like seeing mascot characters live on forever because like there's always a new generation of kids that are gonna see these games, play these games, enjoy them, and Crash is one of those characters that I think like always has that chance to always kind of hop back in the conversation for great platformers.
Well, no, hold on. Until he's in Smash.
Oh god, here we go.
Like, I'm just going to be continually disappointed with the universe.
I keep telling her, Tim, that eventually Crash will get in there. Like
I
can't wait until you do a tornado slap a character right off the screen. I cannot wait for that to happen.
Yeah. When they have in Coco will be the other Crash skin. Like I always tell her, like all the popular characters are in there. Obviously, there's certain red tape. Like, I mean, I'm sure Nintendo would love to put Master Chief in there, but as you know, Nintendo, Microsoft. But I mean, like we've seen crazier things, right? I mean, hell, Sora made it to the game. They said that was the one character that was impossible. Minecraft Steve is there, so it's like we'll see.
Well, then why is Sora impossible, but Crash is still not in there?
Yeah, but that's all it takes, right? Licensing, red tape.
Well, also with the popularity too. Like you got to remember that before the Insane Trilogy released, Crash Bandicoot was a forgotten thing of the past.
It was
because they killed it. Drax, you want to talk about disappointing sequels? What was released chronologically after Crash Bandicoot Warped? Can you even think? Can you name?
Yeah. They really. Well, he basically
went
the
Crash
same
Team Racing, which was a huge success. I thought.
No. Sorry, not CTR, but actually in the timeline of the sequel to, because there's 2 of them that came after Warped.
Yeah,
one of them we don't acknowledge.
Oh,
the other
really?
one,
I didn't know that.
Yeah, there's more Crash games after
Crash
Warped.
of the Wild. Was it called?
It was some trash. Well, did Naughty Dog even do those, or was it like?
I don't even know. I did not play them. I wanted no part of them.
I didn't even know there were other games. I thought this one is. I thought it was the 4th one.
Yeah, the 4th one is made by different people.
It was actually a reimagining. So when they made the Crash Bandicoot 4, they set it in the universe's timeline to be immediately after Crash Bandicoot Warped. So they retconned all the games that came after that.
Oh,
now remember, CTR, there is no story in CTR, right?
Yep.
Well, yeah, correct. Yeah, it's just
so as far as canon's concerned, nothing happened there. Crash Bash. Someone pointed out.
That was Crash Bash. I gotta look these
their
games
attempt
up. I know they're terrible. Like
their attempt at Mario Party.
I didn't. Even know
I see.
That anything existed.
The games.
Okay, no, hold on, Drax, sweetheart. Love Bug. If there is a Crash version of Mario Party, you know what I want for our anniversary.
Oh God.
Yeah. Crash Bash is. Someone correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure that was the. Crash of the Titans is the one I was thinking of.
I'm just saying, if there is a Crash version of Mario Party, you know what I want, right?
Well, yeah, I think Crash Bash is a Mario Party version of that.
Oh yeah.
It's just not good. It's not good.
I don't care.
Trust me, you don't want a bad game, even if it's the characters you love. You don't want. Well, okay. So I'm looking at. I just typed in Crash Bandicoot, and all the latest stories within the last 2 days say that there's a new Crash game that's multiplayer, and from the rumors, people are suggesting it's going to be it's most likely going to be a Smash Bros type game. Because I mean, Crash has enough characters to do that. I don't think they should, but I mean, you never know. It could be good, just like they did Crash Team Racing. I've heard a lot of people say they prefer Crash Team Racing over Mario Kart, so you never know.
Yeah, CTR is a good game, very solid. It was fair and balanced. You could win. You could run the story mode with any character.
Well, I'm not gonna lie. The only downside of having a Crash fighting game like Smash is that if he has that, there's no chance of him being in Smash. You know what I'm saying?
Oh,
yes.
You mean like what you promised me is going to happen?
Oh,
please. Rishi says Crash crossed over with Spyro. I mean, that's the other big omission from
Yeah. Well, here's the thing though. They Sakurai has talked about the characters that always get recommended. And I mean, you know how this works, right? I mean, you can never make everyone happy, right? Because whenever you put in a character, they go, "Why isn't my character in the?" You know what I'm saying? So like, that's a fruitless endeavor. But like, I have seen Spyro on lists of characters that people want to see in Smash for a couple of years now. So we'll see. Hopefully they will. But Kat, any last words before we get out of here tonight?
No, other than just remember what I said.
Uh-huh.
Anniversary's coming up in October.
I mean, Crash Bash, if you were to play it again today, I think it would be comically bad just because it's old. It's a very old
I hadn't
game.
even heard of this damn game. Like, when
I've never heard of it.
Yeah.
Do you guys, I don't know, did someone remember when this game? I've never, dude, there's some games I didn't even know existed. Someone said a Game Boy?
No, I think Rishi was making reference to the crossover.
I'm just saying.
Oh, it's on Game Boy Advance. Oh, maybe.
It's either that or another Walrus stash. So pick your poison, boo.
All right, Kat. I think you might have overstayed your welcome.
Oh, Jesus. We'll get you out of here. But yeah, thanks for everybody for coming on tonight.
Oh, we got Kat, 2 more
Rishi,
callers.
Lex. Oh, do we? Oh, okay.
Yeah, well, 2 more callers after Kat.
We'll hit them up real quick and then get out of here. So yeah. Kat, go ahead and see yourself out and we will get to the next caller.
Boop. Stu. It's your big moment to shine, Stu.
Uh-oh.
Oh. All right. Private chat when you're ready. Boop. Whip, you're up next. Which whip is which? No whip. Why are there 2 whips?
Yeah, I just noticed that. The hell?
Okay, while they figure out their technical problems, any closing thoughts?
I think the beauty of a lot of these games, though, is that the nature of surprise. I think that this needs to get really put into the brains of the developers, because I'll tell you what arguably is like one of the biggest surprises that really hit people like right where it counts. It's Breath of the Wild, right? Because it broke convention. I think more and more take the essence of the game. This is like for all the game developers out there, right?
Hey, can you hear me now?
Yeah, what's up, Stu?
Hey, what's up? I'm gonna let you finish your thought though.
Oh no, I was gonna say like take the essence of a game and then expand upon it and make it something new, right? So there's enough that's familiar, but make it, like I said, Breath of the Wild, I think did that better than any game maybe ever, right? Because like Breath of the Wild is 100% Zelda, yet you go, God, this feels so fresh and new. You see what I'm saying? Breakable weapons, open world.
One of the things that they did was they kind of went back to the old design patterns from the first 2 Zeldas.
Yep.
and that was their big inspiration for it. I mean, because if you look at the Zelda, like Skyward Sword and what was it, Twilight Princess, like they kind of did the whole dungeon thing, like just they refined it to a point where it's like, okay, now all this feels the same. Like everything just feels like Ocarina.
Yeah, no, that's what I said earlier. I don't know if you were here though, but I said that was the problem with the Zelda games, is that like, okay, so here's the thing. Ironically, it was in reality, it was a Link to the Past that set the standard. Ocarina just happened to take it into three dimensions. Because you remember, Stu, if you play Link to the Past, all Zelda games from that point forward did the same thing. You have to get 3 somethings, right? The game starts 3 somethings. It doesn't have those pendants, jewel, whatever it is, right? Then that unlocks the second stage of the game, right? Which is whether it's Light World, Dark World, whether, you know what I'm saying, whatever your little thing, right? If you're young Link or old Link, you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then so Link to the Past started that. And then I remember playing Skyward Sword. And I was like, oh, I'm doing this again. Like, because it doesn't matter if the world is different. I was like, I can't bash Call of Duty and not bash Zelda as much as I love Zelda. I'm like, dude, you guys are making the same game. Breath of the Wild feels like a whole. Ironically, if there's any gripe I would give Breath of the Wild, I would say that they do need some like legitimate full-on dungeons, right? Like not the divine beast, but true dungeons. Right?
Yeah, that was the one. That was my biggest gripe with Breath of the Wild too.
It's the only gripe. It's the only gripe I got.
It was like you made all these fucking beautiful puzzles in the shrines, and the shrines was a great idea because I liked having like a small adventure.
I did,
but like I delve in, my world shrinks in, I have this contained activity, and then I get popped out and I got my reward. It's like, fuck yeah, that's awesome. But then it's like, I want big version of that, and you just never got it. And I'm like,
well, plus your music would have been different, and the environment would have looked different. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It almost you could almost do DLC, like if you would put the code in for Breath of the Wild, and then because this is common in MMORPG games, where they have dungeons or raids. If you're familiar with Destiny,
right? No, I played WoW since vanilla, and I played Destiny, so
yeah. So you could almost do that in Breath of the Wild, but make it as a DLC, like add these massive dungeons that take hours.
They kind of did with the revamped. Like with the season pass, they added a secondary fights for stuff, so you could get the like new ability plus for all of the divine beasts, and they added like an extra cutscene at the end if you redid all the fights before doing Ganon.
Missed opportunity there, because you absolutely could have sold a lot more dungeons too.
I agree with that one.
You know, like
what is your game though? What is your
so
game?
My game is going to be probably an obscure one. Is Lego Racers 2.
Oh shit,
that is obscure.
Yeah,
I heard that was a great expansion pack for WoW.
Fuck, it was so good.
Anyways,
like it. Wrath of the Lich King was the best expansion, I think. Everyone says Burning Crusade, but I think Wrath. Although Wrath also later patches ruined the game completely. But that's a topic for a different
new world.
Yeah.
But anyways,
goddamn matchmaking for dungeons is what ruined World of Warcraft. That's the short. But Lego Racers. So the first Lego Racers, and this is kind of a fun one to pivot off of Crash Team Racing. So the first one was like this super fun kind of like high chart, because I played Crash Team. I wasn't as big a fan of it, and then I really liked Mario Kart. But then Lego Racers was like weapons on crack. Like you had like huge rockets, and then like all of this other stuff, and then the races were like hard. I mean, like they were like pretty damn hard, and you had like rocket boosts and all this other stuff. But then it gave you like a character and like a villain, like because the first one opened up, and it was like you had to defeat like Rocket Racer was kind of the title character of the game, and so it was you and then like all these other Lego characters, and so the end is you defeat him and then he's kind of like down on his luck. So the next one picks up with him kind of like, walking down like the lonely, dusty old road, like kicking a can. And then he gets this ad for this racing league on this other planet. And back when Lego used to come out with like way cooler, like, and instead of just doing movie properties, but like when they made their own sets.
Yep.
Yeah. Like, and then they made the games off those sets. And I had played all the other games between Lego Racers 1. And the second one was like a metaverse thing for all of the other Lego sets. So you were racing, like, I was like, holy crap, like the Arctic, like I get to race through the Arctic set. And like there were all the different vehicles through all these different sets. And then the coolest thing about it all, you got to make your own car. And your cars took damage. Because in the last one, your car was just like, it was just like a cart. And then in the second one, like your cart, you had like health, and like your car would, like, bricks would start falling off, and then you could go on the side on a pit stop, and then like bricks would just start floating and then like being rebuilt on your car. Now that you were just like, holy crap, that was cool.
They put a lot of thought into it. Sounds like they put a lot of thought into the details, right? The little things, Drex, that makes the game from a good game to a great game.
Yeah, and that's the only thing that really does it, right? It's the fine details, and like I think like it's like that hidden charm that a lot of games lack now. Like they lack that charm.
The sound. Yeah, so Stu, how's the soundtrack in that game?
I only, I wish I remembered. I only remember the soundtrack from the only thing I remember is the soundtrack from the first one, from the opening cutscene. I wish I remembered.
But yeah, good music. Like
it was good. I remember liking it as a kid. But like, I remember the sound effects being like fucking awesome. Like everything felt great. I always wondered why it never took off. I think it maybe because I think there was a lot of limited functions on PS2, because I think I had it on PC and then some of my friends had it on PS2, and I don't think everything. I remember it not feeling that great on console.
I do know online gaming did come around at the very end of the PS2 era.
I don't think it had online. I could be wrong. I had dial-up until 8th grade, so
yeah, I mean that was what really held it back. Also, I'm guessing that a lot of people look at the case, it says Lego on it. It's like, oh, that's a children's game.
Oh,
I won't enjoy it.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, I was guilty of that all through high school. It's like I stopped playing Lego games because I was like, oh, I did that, and especially because like I liked all the, like, growing up as a kid, I liked all the Lego sets, like, and because I played all the Lego games, I liked all the ones that were based on their original properties, and I'm like, I don't want to play like I know like the Star Wars Legos were like these huge fan favorites, and I'm probably gonna piss everybody off when I say this, but I looked at those and I was like, I don't want to play Star Wars, but it's Lego. I'm like, I want to play like Legos, and like I want
like Lego IP basically.
Yeah. And like, so like whenever I saw, like, I know Lego Batman's like this huge thing recently. But whenever I saw this, I'm like even to this day, I just get disappointed. I'm like, man, can Lego just make some original IPs again?
Yeah, it's tough because, like, from a business standpoint, it makes money and it's easy, right?
Oh yeah, no, it's way easy.
Yeah, I watched Manic and Rishi play through co-op in Lego Star Wars Skywalker Saga.
Oh, I heard those games. Those games even make fun of you can tell those games were made by like Star Wars fans because they make fun of the like last 3 films.
Oh, of course.
Perfect. But yeah, all right, Stu, we gotta get Whip in here before we sign off for tonight.
I had one thing I was gonna use as a segue from the last thing from the other. The reason Crash stopped was because Toys for Bob was the studio, and they got cannibalized to be a support studio for Call of Duty.
Oh,
that was what happened. Yeah, imagine being like, you're the guys who make Skylanders and like Toys to Life games. That's why you went there. You guys get acquired by Activision to help you make like Crash and stuff. I think Crash 4 did well, but the remaster did well, but then the 4th one, I forget exactly what happened. And then they're like, well, even though it's sold, too bad you didn't do well enough. Now you're making shaders for Call of Duty skins and multiplayer maps.
And the Insane Trilogy sold well for what they like. It made its money back, right? Which is all you can ever hope for when you release a game. You make your money back, you get a little bit of profit. 4, I don't think sold as well as the Insane Trilogy, which is
that
actually
makes sense.
Yeah.
But if you think about it, though, that actually would make sense, right? Because like, X amount of people grew up with the Insane Trilogy, right? Like that's the games they grew up with. So they remaster. They're like, oh, I have a Switch, I can play it on the go, or I'm playing on a PS4, whatever. So that actually makes sense. Whereas like, if you try to convince someone, now play a new Crash, they're kind of like, because they remember the most recent games being terrible. So that's probably why they were not interested. Whereas like the nostalgia of the originals, like a lot of remastered games do well. Just because people you know this, when the Switch finally figures out that when they pull their heads out of their ass and Nintendo decides to release Symphony of the Night on the Switch, it's gonna sell, right?
Oh, God,
I mean, it's gonna sell like hotcakes.
Holy crap!
I'd sleep overnight at the game store at the Walmart to make sure I get that.
I'm surprised they haven't.
It's the
with the Netflix show,
inexplicably it's not on the Switch. Like, dude. Symphony of the Night is on mobile. What does that tell you? How is it on mobile but not the Switch?
Like you have the Castlevania Netflix show. You had Terry. Was it Terry or what's his name? Who came out for not Terry? God damn it! Who's the Smash Brothers character? The Belmont.
From what? Yeah,
from,
Richter and
from
Simon.
Ultimate.
Richter and Simon are in there.
Yeah, Richter and Simon. Like you have Richter and Simon come out. So like you.
Oh, and Alucard is he's an assist trophy.
Yeah, and it's just like.
Yeah.
Like, why is this game here? Like, why?
like why aren't you coming out with new? Yeah,
you tease us so much. All right, Stu, parting words before we go.
Yep. What?
Any parting words before you go?
Play more games, people.
All right,
more games.
We'll do. All right, we'll see you out of here.
Later.
All right. Last but not least,
I've got 2 whiplashes again.
Well, we got whip.
Damn it all.
All right.
Okay.
What's up?
Whoops.
Uh-oh.
All right, that's the one.
Test.
I got you. We got you.
Awesome. Okay.
All right. What is your number one?
I've got 2 potential picks here, but I need you to answer a question before I go with which one. Do remakes count if they're done right?
Yeah.
Yeah, of course.
Remakes do count? Oh shit, yeah. All right. Resident Evil 2.
Yeah, well, you can actually put Resident Evil 2 remake side by side with RE1 remake on GameCube. But go ahead.
That is a fair assertion, dude.
Now I'm curious what the other one would have been.
Well, the other one was going to be Devil May Cry 5.
Okay. Okay, yeah. I've heard Devil May Cry does get better as time goes on, like as the games go on.
Yeah, I mean, honorable mention for DMC 5 here. That's easily the tightest combat the series has ever had. And my first exposure to it was through Marvel vs. Capcom 3, because Dante and Virgil were like my favorite characters to play. They were just so fun. So then like I played DMC 3, loved it. DMC 4 was pretty good, but like Nero wasn't as well developed as he should have been in that game. But apparently it wasn't completely finished, so hard to blame him on that. And then 5 just fixed everything. Like, Nero's a solid character in 5. Dante is the most fun he's ever been. Like, dude, he finally got a motorcycle weapon. It turns into chainsaws. It's fucking awesome. Oh, man.
Yeah.
And just,
I don't think
if they never had a DMC 6, DMC 5 is like the perfect ending they could have had. Just chef's kiss, god tier.
Yeah. Everyone keeps saying they should remake Dino Crisis. I agree, but that's a topic for the games that should exist but don't.
Actually, no, Tim. They shouldn't remake Dino Crisis. They should redo Dino Crisis.
Yeah, the same way Insane Trilogy did, where they changed some things.
Well, I'm saying like just like completely reimagine it, right? Like so okay, like rather than even say like we're gonna like remake part 1 or 2, whatever. No, literally just go like this. The next game, the Dino Crisis series, is literally just called Dino Crisis, right?
And just start over from scratch.
You literally start over from scratch, take the basic tenet of it, and then like everything else just redo. But yeah, that'd be great. But yeah, like Whip, did you ever play the Dino Crisis games? Look, that was a surprise.
I have not had the chance to play Dino Crisis. I heard it's really good.
Oh yeah, man, that shit was hardcore when it came out. Because I mean, you were so used to Resident Evil, like same like basic premise. But like,
okay.
Dinosaurs are far more terrifying because of course, faster, stronger. I mean, they were like literally like knocking your guy around the room. Like you just you're like, holy shit.
Oh, it's Jurassic Park, the survival horror.
It was legitimately the Jurassic Park survival horror, man. Like,
yeah.
All right.
I mean, that shit dropped. It was hardcore.
Because I mean,
we don't really see that anymore, though, Tim. I mean, I think the reason why we don't see surprises in games is because, like, let's face it, the flip side of the coin for tonight's topic isn't the fact that like studios are playing it safe with the games they release.
Something else too, Drex. There's so much big money. You have to remember when we were growing up, if you were a game studio, you had 5 employees and you were in someone's apartment.
Yeah.
That was a game studio. I'm doing air quotes, even though my video is not on. That was a game studio back then. Nowadays, a game studio occupies like 17 floors downtown Montreal.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Right? And if that game fails, it's over, right?
Yeah.
So that's why they're going
like $1 billion
let's just keep on making Assassin's Creed. Let's keep on making COD. Let's like, that's why
NHL, fucking
NHL, Madden. Like, we're not getting surprises because it's like similar to what happened in movies. But the movie industry is the same thing. What took
over for the small game studios of our day are the indie studios.
Yep.
Unfortunately, very few indie games ever make it to console. That's just the nature of the beast. Whereas if you were a small studio, you needed maybe 100,000 to properly publish your game out on consoles. Like if you were a small studio in the PS1 era, you did not need a huge amount of money to go and publish your game, get the CDs copied and get them, get some box art drawn and get them out on the shelf. You didn't need too much money. Nowadays, with the way the distribution is, no publisher will take your game unless you convince them you're going to sell like 3 million copies in the first night.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, it's
changed.
So I think indie studios is kind of taken up that mantle, but the access to the consoles is so restrictive. Like I would love to see Nintendo launch an indie project where they devote some of their profits to doing free publishing on their platform for indie games that are on the PC.
That's an interesting.
And then they take it as a tax write-off. It's charity. It literally becomes charity. It's Nintendo saying, hey, we're going to open up our porting engine so that we're going to open source the porting engine so that you guys can take your indie games and put them on the Switch.
Dude, that would literally be genius.
Because the Steam Deck, the Steam Deck's trying to do that, right? It's trying to get Steam games into console format. But
have you heard the latest shit about the Steam Deck?
No, I haven't. We'll have to cover that.
Everybody that's using it is playing like, indie games that play just as good on the Switch.
No, Whip, no lie. Before we got on tonight, I actually told Kat that. I saw because I sent that story in the Game Exchange channel, and I think that goes to prove what I had been. It was one of my suspicions about the Steam Deck because everybody's like, "Yeah, I got the Steam Deck. I got all this power in my hand." I was like, "But what games are you going to be playing, right?" And it turns out, like to me, that proves what I had been saying all along, that like power doesn't matter. Because how did you get the Steam Deck that has all this power, but you're just playing the same damn like indie games or Switch games that you pirated over or whatever on the Steam Deck? It's like, so you wanted a Switch then.
I'll say this to be fair, right? The one gripe I have with the Switch, this is my one gripe, is that games, even first-party games, are getting to the point where they're having performance issues on the Switch.
Mm-hmm.
That's the one gripe I have. Because my thing is this. I fully understand that Nintendo doesn't compete. Only the problem with that is that the answer to does Nintendo compete is actually yesn't. Like, technically no, but actually yes. Like, and that's my problem, is they need to get better hardware to the point where, like, hey, look, everybody understands that you're not going to be playing some crazy like photorealistic game at like 4K 60 on the Switch, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, we understand that. That's not what we're asking for. But why the fuck does Breath of the Wild have performance issues on the Switch at times? Like,
And by the
come
way,
on now.
If someone goes into the chat and says, "Oh, but you only need 30 frames a second," get out of here. Get out.
Thank you, Tim.
No.
I can see the difference between 30 and 60 frames.
Well, Tim, here's the thing, though. Everybody has always said Nintendo can literally end the console. They always call it console war. They can literally end the entire everything by just no bullshit. The next is their next console, because like this is it for console. Only Nintendo will make them in the future. Microsoft will be out of the market because they're going to do cloud gaming. Nobody even knows what Sony's doing other than fucking up their chances. So
Yeah.
Nintendo's going to be the only ones around in the console market. Like, watch this. Hey, Whip, what if the next console Nintendo makes is called the Super Nintendo Switch and it's now for native 4K, blah blah blah, right? Same basic premise, but now it plays
if
all
it's
the
literally the
game
Switch,
over.
but with the performance of like the current gen consoles, right?
Yep, it's
here's
over.
The thing: you give me a portable system that's just as good as a PS5. Yep. Why the fuck would I ever do that again?
Yeah. Well, so Whip, you know this. When the Switch came out and it really started gaining popularity, do you remember what everybody used to say? Everybody goes, "This, can I get it on the Switch?" Right? It didn't matter what game it was. Can I get it on the Switch? Because once you can make it portable, it changed. And that's a whole topic for another day, right?
Well, that's another thing, right? Take Doom from 2016, that one, right?
Yep.
You can play that on the Switch, and people are like, okay, doesn't look very pretty. Okay, fine. It performs decently, though.
Yeah, like
can
enough.
Can I play Doom on the go at a reasonable pace? All right, cool.
Do you remember how big the original Game Boy was? The freaking size of a brick.
Yeah, man, it was literally a brick. Like, dude, for anybody out there who doesn't know, go find like a used game shop and just ask them, "Hey, man, can I hold the original Game Boy?" It literally was the size of a brick.
That thing was indestructible.
But
all right,
okay, so that is a perfectly capable handheld platform. Think of how much power you could pack into something that big.
Dude, here's an honorable mention on the Game Boy side of things. Do you remember the first model of the DS?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yep,
all right.
I remember.
So I was in an argument with some asshole who was attempting to bully me. He was not very successful. So this dude tries to bully me, right? And I'm just not letting him win, and it's like really burning him up that he can't bully me, right? So then the next day at school, he takes my DS and he throws it on the ground, and this shit ricochets. No damage. No damage to that motherfucker.
Everything now is fragile.
Post-concrete abuse. No damage.
Yep.
Yeah. All right, Whip. Parting words before we head out for tonight. And that's the last caller, Drex.
All right. Any last words, Whip?
Well, first of all, shout out to Capcom. I am excited for Resident Evil 4 Remake and Street Fighter 6. Fingers crossed. And Shredder's Revenge is supposed to come out in what's today? 7th? Oh, so like 10 days from now, week and a half?
Yeah, I heard that rumor that it's coming. I want to say it's like the 16th or whatever that day is. But if it does come out on that day, that'll be the same weekend I'm over at Nick's, which will be next weekend. So if it does come out, I'll text Nick and see about doing a live playthrough on that one.
Oh man, if it really comes out in like a week and a half, I don't think Casey's going to be in it. But they hinted that Casey's going to be DLC.
Yeah, he has to be.
If they were gonna do DLC, it would have to be Casey.
Yeah.
Like, what other character would sell as DLC other than if you switched? Let's say April wasn't announced for the game, right? But it was
Yep.
Casey. Well, if you had to do a DLC character at that point, it'd have to be April.
Correct.
Because like only her and Casey are worthwhile DLC characters that you're going to pay for.
Correct.
But Drex, are you gonna try Elden Ring when you're out at Nick's?
Probably not.
No?
I mean, like I said, I know about those what do they call those, the Souls games, like the Dark Souls games. Like, I mean, I guess don't get me wrong, like I've seen them. I was like, I get it. It's just like, I don't know. Like I remember playing like these ludicrously difficult games as a kid. Do I enjoy? Like, and that's the real thing. I like when you get older, you start wanting to, and Nick has talked about this in general. Right? Obviously, there's exceptions, but like you tend to want to play games that you enjoy more, not so much like. Don't get me wrong. Like I want the games to be difficult, to be challenging, but like not just for the sake of being challenging. You see what I'm saying? Like Celeste is challenging, right? I mean, you die a million times, but it's like the music is great. The very nature of the game is great. The mechanics are great. That to me is different from someone being like this. I'm just gonna put these ludicrously difficult boss battles and all this. It's just like,
I actually don't think ankle fighting simulator. Yeah, there you go. I don't think Elden Ring really is as difficult as Nick makes it out to be. He's just terrible at video games. I actually think that I haven't played Elden Ring myself. I will try it eventually, but I just haven't had time. But I don't think it's as hard as Dark Souls. I think it's a little easier.
I've heard people say that. Ankle fighting
piss off Nick by talking about vigor. I wish they would. I want to send Nick a bottle of whiskey with a custom label that just says vigor on it.
Vigor.
Yep. And then he has to drink it. Nick, can I get a shot of the vigor whiskey? And he just gives a sour face. No. All right. Whip, we'll get you out of here and then we'll close out the show.
All right. Thanks for having me on, guys.
Hey, have a good one.
All right, Drex. Final parting thoughts.
No, just I tell everybody out there, man, keep playing games. Support the games that you believe are worthwhile. That and we talk about this is the positive stream with all the things that we like in games. We have to start doing a better job of supporting games that are doing the right thing. You know what I'm saying? Because otherwise, you're just gonna get Call of Duty 86, right? Because that's all you're gonna get, Tim. Yeah. There's fewer surprises across the board because the consumers have been so dumbed down, and the corporatization of this industry means that, like you said, the corporations like this, hey man, we don't want to risk losing our investment, so just keep giving them more what they want, what sells, right?
Yep.
And that's, I mean, I said that's a consumer problem. Like, people always are so quick to go after publishers and developers. No. The consumer is ultimately at fault because guess what happens if you guys only support Call of Duty? You're gonna get more Call of Duty. If you only support, games that are of that ilk, when you start supporting games that are different and unique, the studios do got to do a better job promoting those games. And Tim, we talked about this before. The old days of like the demo disc, right? The demo disc used to say, dude, how many millions of copies do you think sold just because someone played the demo, right? They played a little bit and they said, "Oh shit, I like this."
Fuck, I know I bought Twisted Metal because of the demo.
Yep. And Twisted Metal did great numbers for the PS1.
Oh yeah,
great numbers.
Well, it was a good game.
Yep, combat, and that was unique.
How hard is it? Right.
Yep.
It's not hard to sell a good game. It really isn't.
Nope.
I mean, there's people will be out there be like, "Oh, well, this game didn't sell well, and it was a good game." Yeah, in your opinion. But
it's funny you say that. Do you know what I think we're missing right now? Although we have YouTube and stuff, one of the things that's missing when you went to a game store back in the day, the people, the sale clerks would inform you of games that you may not have tried, right? So Tim, let's just say you're an average Joe. You walk into the store, you're looking around, and they're like, "Hey, what can I help you find?" Like, I'm just looking for something a little different. That guy would be able to tell you, "Hey, man, have you played Twisted Metal?" And you go, "What the hell is Twisted Metal?" You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. You know what? I still have a local game store that would do that, but these are avid gamers. There's maybe 10 of them in a city of 1 million people.
Yep.
Right. And so what they did, the three of them got together and they founded a retro game store that's not far from my house. Man, you can get NES games and an NES console.
Yep. Yeah,
I love those retro game stores. But they have a copy of GoldenEye on the shelf too.
Of course.
Yep, you gotta have it. But oh god, I think I just came up with that idea of Nintendo doing like a Nintendo workshop, but like opening the opening up the Switch's porting engine to indie developers. So I mean, I don't know if I'll ever see that day, but that would fix a lot of what's wrong with the big studio titles.
Yeah.
Is okay, I'm an indie developer. I made this really cool game and I'm going to try and release it on the Switch.
Yep.
And you know, Nintendo will charge me $10 per copy.
Well, I will say this though, the Switch has done the best job of any Nintendo console of pushing indie, because people were getting on Nintendo for years, like, Nintendo, you guys keep fucking up. You need to start supporting these indie developers, and like they have made a concerted effort this console generation with the Switch, because I do believe the Switch is the ultimate indie machine, right? Because now, like, you don't need all the graphical power, right?
Yeah.
Like, you don't need to be Steam Deck powerful to run Celeste. You see what I'm saying?
They're saying that it's just hard to do physical release.
Yep.
Yeah, I guess the biggest problem with the Switch is the storage, isn't it?
Well, I mean, you have the expandable memory, though. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, like, yeah, I have my memory card right now is a 128 gig. But, like, I mean, let's face it, most indie games aren't that big, right?
They can, I mean, it depends. Sometimes, fucking Cuckold Simulator's starting to get bigger because Sneed has to add in all those.
He's
graphical
adding
aspects.
in things. He's adding in new cucks. Like, so what is the Will Smith cuck's name?
I forget. Manic played through it. He would know, but I forget.
His name is Cuck Smith.
Cuck Smith.
Yeah. It's like, but when it comes down to it, though, I just think that, like, we need to, like, really start putting a better effort in as consumers to be like this. Let's not give our money to games like Cyberpunk, who kicks you in the fucking dick when they release an unfinished, unpolished game. Like I said, you have to speak with your wallet, right? You protest with your wallet. You start giving your money to these indie developers, right? And they start producing and they start making. Remember, because Tim, the budget ultimately is what limits your creativity, right? Like, if you have the greatest idea ever known to man, but your budget is $50,000, there's only so much you can do. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
There's only so much. But but as your budget got bigger, you went, okay, now I can add in the voice acting. I can add in these certain mechanics. I have the time and the resources to put forward. And that's why it's so important to support some of these games, man.
Oh, man. Now I'm trying to wonder, like, what would Undertale look like if it had been made by a AAA studio with voice acting and stop motion?
It'd probably be worse, though.
The story would have been worse.
The charm, the charm is kind of like right there. And you know how that works, right? As soon as I'll tell you what it's like. It's what happens in Hollywood movies where when you give someone a huge budget, they're like, well, I got to spend all this money because they gave it to me, right? And then instead of having a good story and having great moments, they just let's throw big, they get the Michael Bay syndrome, right?
Just everything explodes.
Everything's exploding, and look how great it becomes.
This guy's gonna say the F word.
Yeah, and then you kind of lose what makes it special. So it's like sometimes having let's face it, the original Matrix budget was actually relatively small. I think it was like 40 million, which
pretty small for a movie.
Yes, for a movie that's gonna be widely distributed, that's pretty small.
Yeah, even if you account for being the 90s.
Yep. Yeah, you're not getting those.
Still very
anymore.
small.
Yeah, go look at the Matrix. There's not that many special effects shots. But notice the special effects that they do have in the original Matrix, they all matter. You see what I'm saying? The bullet time matters. The cyberspace, the green stuff matters. Like all the things that happen in that. The whatchamacallit, when Neo is being plucked out of the real world in his little pod, the scenes that were in there, they work. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
What
was the budget for Jurassic Park? Wasn't it ridiculously huge?
The original?
Yeah.
I'll look it up. Let me see. So that was 1993. I'll put Jurassic Park budget. Jurassic Park budget.
I seem to remember seeing like it was a really
63 million. Here's the thing though, that actually that's okay. 63 million, and you're talking early 90s. That adjusted for inflation, that would probably be damn near twice that.
Yeah, it'd be over.
You know
Probably
what I'm saying?
100
Yeah,
million.
but even then, but Tim, that still isn't that crazy because
No.
these Marvel movies are like $280 million budget. Like Jesus.
Yeah, then they make $1 billion at the box office. And you're
Yeah,
like,
I'm looking
of
at
course.
Jurassic World. Jurassic World's budget was 150 million.
Yeah, that's more. That's more was I was expecting.
Well, look at
yeah,
E.T.
anything
E.T.
over 50, you start getting into like, okay, you're not a small budget film anymore.
Yep. Well, hell,
Once you're
Indiana
over
Jones
50.
was only 20 million, right? I mean, I'm looking at these movies. Jaws cost 7 million. E.T. was 10.5. So that goes to show you, man, like the Paranormal Activity movies, you don't need a crazy budget to make a great movie. Similar to you don't need the best hardware in the world to make a great game.
No. Look, let's look at the 3 things that make good games, right? So, well, I get it's story, it's gameplay, and it's details. None of those require, right? Notice I didn't say graphics. None of those require hardware. You need good writers. You need someone who actually plays video games, making it.
Yep.
And then just attention to details, right? It's having the, of course, a blank on any specific examples, but or especially when you do, especially callbacks when they make when they do remakes and they put in an Easter egg or a callback to that original. Do you remember when Konami released? It was the announcement teaser for Guns of the Patriots, and it was all shot in the Metal Gear Solid 3 engine.
Yep.
Do you remember that with the chairs? Right, they were doing a little thing with the chairs.
Yeah.
And then they made, he takes off his mask and it's actually Raiden.
Yep.
And it's him and Snake fighting for the main character chair. Like, that's the kind of attention to detail that makes games good.
Yeah, just having having fun with the fans. I believe that it's best to do all of your stuff in engine. You don't need to do the whole like break from the action and now let's have these crazy like beyond photorealistic graphics. Because then like I said, I don't think it's that jarring, but like I know like for a lot of people, especially when time goes on, it actually becomes more jarring because like although those graphics are cutting edge when you release it, 20 years later it's not. It's much more jarring, right? Like, oh shit, well damn, I'm in a cutscene, and damn, that looks rough. So yeah, but that's all I got for that. I don't know if you have any last closing thoughts.
Nope, that's it for us, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. Of course, follow us at our main channel, Migtown Podcast. We'll have another episode out this Friday, hopefully. We're gonna try and cover some of the stuff that came up with the Amber Heard trial. We're trying to line up some guests for that. Oh, look at that! Yeetus joins late. Holy jeez, Yeetus, that is as late as I've ever seen you, man. All right, well, make sure, guys, you want to see more gaming content on this channel. Give us a like, subscribe to this channel. I'll send everyone a note on the main channel to come check us out. But yeah, that's all we got for you guys. Until next time, stay frosty.
Stay toxic, Kings.